Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
Hello, John.
Oh, Brendan. I'll just say, so thrilled we're not watching another Howling movie, regardless of whatever of what we are watching. I feel like anything
could have been
starts
anything.
I feel like anything now starts with, well, it's not Howling.
Yeah, if we were watching The Return of Captain Invincible with Alan Arkin, I would be, thank God it's not The Howling.
I mean, that it's got Alan Arkin. Automatically, it's, a full letter grade better. But,
Absolutely.
Yes, we start, though, something I feel like is going to haunt us for the rest of this season. What I like about this franchise is it begins and ends in the 90s. So it is
contained.
It is contained to this season, although apparently,
it will not leak into next season.
Apparently, there's talk of a new thing coming, but we'll get to that later.
Maybe a reboot?
Yeah, we'll see. Yes, we kick off the first of 4 Subspecies films.
Now, before we start, I just want to say that this actually didn't occur to either of us, even though we were both, I think, tangentially aware.
Not me. Subspecies. This is, actually.
Oh, really?
Only when I saw Radu in design did I realize I had seen him, but really didn't know what he was from. So no, I was really not that aware of this. But you were, Brendan. I was. You kind of fought the inclusion of this a little bit.
Well, I mean, it is vampire stuff. It's not Dracula related, but we certainly, of course, have done vague Frankenstein and werewolf movies and all that.
This whole show is just, I mean, we've talked about that. We've expanded beyond the individual characters at this point. We've done Lost Boys and such. And speaking of, if you remember our Lost Boys episode and the many other episodes they've been on, we have the person with us who's responsible for us doing Subspecies.
Yes, that's what I wanted to bring up. The person responsible.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. It's me, Elliott. I'm back again. Whatever. So, Brendan, I've turned off recording. I have been having my camera off due to Wi-Fi reasons.
Yeah.
I turned it on specifically to give Brendan an incredulous look. My dude, they imply that Radu and Stefan's dad is Dracula. So, what are you fucking talking about?
Well, okay.
This actually is more connected than a lot of the vampire movies we've watched.
My other in Christ, I appreciated seeing your face there, but I will say this. Yes, but they're actually sort of implying, which other movies have done, is that they're doing the same with Bram Stoker's Dracula with Francis Ford Coppola, as we'll be seeing. They're doing a hop skip where it seems to be implied that the family line of the historical Dracula has become vampiric. So they're doing a combo platter. You're right. And in fact, of course, Radu, who's our main bad guy, Radu the Handsome was the name of Vlad Dracula's brother.
Oh, so they were just taking the piss with this one. Huh?
They were just literally pulling names out of actual Dracula family history. So I did appreciate that, and you're right. I will grant it. It's past. We will continue dealing with Subspecies movies because I think in my mind one of the things I was not. It wasn't because of the Dracula connection. My knowledge of the series was that it was so tangentially vampiric because I thought it leaned more towards the weirdness of the subspecies itself that it's named after.
Yeah,
and they really
not
have
even
nothing
remotely
to do. I mean, I'm like, why even call it that?
Yeah.
Well, okay. All right. But the first complaint, one of the main reasons I didn't want to do it when you first proposed it, Elliott, was because I was like, I don't want to see the adventures of sandwich artists. Subspecies, I thought, was going to deal with some sort of horror take on large sandwiches. That turned out not to be the case. John, I remember you.
Dumbest things ever said.
I'll allow it. It's
your
show.
John, I remember saying, so what? Are they all just, they're in submarines? And I said, no, dude.
Oh, that one's even worse, huh?
I'm bringing the dad jokes, and they're coming in hot.
The commitment to this bit is what I love. You're really
I'll
so
keep going. I've got another 15 minutes.
Going for this is going to be the whole beginning of the show. Ellie could just tune out for a while.
And
my camera is off. I could be.
You need the rest. You need the rest.
Subspecies, though. Let's get back to this film it is. Yeah. Brendan, I know you have a little bit of background. You wanted to get into a little bit of the background on this movie.
Not the background of the movie necessarily, but there is a very cool thing this movie has going for it, which I suspected when I watched it, and then looked at the IMDb trivia and found out I was right. So yay, me. But here's the thing. I, as an old man, remember 1989 very, very clearly. 1989 was huge because it was like living through history, if I can quote the song of Jesus Jones, Right Here, Right Now, which was about the fall of communism, and it was all happening in 1 year. And what's more, it all seemed to be happening really in just December of '89, because the Berlin Wall came down, and that was due to social and cultural, and it wasn't a bloody revolution, but that came down. Communism in Europe, essentially, except outside of, and even the Soviet Empire, of course, it all just dissolved. It was an extremely bloody incident, or so kind of, around Christmas in Romania, when Nicolae Ceausescu and his wife, who had essentially been communistic dictators, they were finally deposed. And again, it was post-Berlin Wall. It was all in the same month. And I remember watching the footage because it was kind of captured live, where they tried to escape their country when everyone revolted. The military refused to help them. And then they were left, like their helicopter set down in a stadium. They were trying to get out of the country, but the helicopter pilots set down in a stadium and just abandoned them. And then basically the popular forces took them and executed them. And that's how they got rid of their dictator, who had been ruling with an iron fist for like 25, 28 years. So that was a big deal. And it all was very much like watching history change. And because of that big deal, now Romania was no longer a communist bloc country. There weren't communist bloc countries. The Iron Curtain was gone. And that also meant, hey, everybody, Charles Band, one of the great cheap filmmakers, realized he could probably go and actually shoot in actual Transylvania cheaply. I bet he was able to shoot there for, like 4 pairs of American blue jeans, because they needed that money. This movie, which just watching it, I was like, that is actual Transylvania.
It is.
And so I knew it had to be an early one, because this came out in 91. 89 is when all that happened. Late 89. So during the year of 1990, I knew it had to be an early one. It actually was the first.
Yes. That's
what we find out in the IMDb trivia. This was the first English language American produced film shot in Transylvania.
Yeah.
In Romania,
this one.
Yeah.
Well, no, specifically in Transylvania, within Romania.
But the first thing to
Transylvania
shoot
is within Romania.
Yeah.
But the first to even do anything in Romania, period.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that I will say this movie is what we expect from a Charles Band film.
Well, because I will say this is our first foray into full moon entertainment.
It won't be our last.
No, it's a whole thing. But I'm going like, I've seen Trancers, I've seen a couple Puppet Masters, and this is on the level with those.
Yeah, I've seen some Puppet Masters and some Deadly Toys. Doll Man.
Yep.
Did they do the Doctor Strange ripoff with Dr. Mordred with our friend?
Is that them? I don't know if that's them.
It's not.
It has that. It certainly has that
with
vibe.
Jeffrey Combs.
Oh well, yeah. Oh yep. Dr. Mordred. There it is.
Man, it's actually a fun Doctor Strange ripoff. But
I like that. I'm
Combs.
Yeah, I'm a big Jeffrey Combs fan. So
But anyway, so I just wanted to bring that up because it is weird that a movie this goofy and very schlocky.
Yeah.
But it has this historical
It does.
reason for being.
It does, but I will say this, and this is true about a lot of stuff on here and over at my other podcast, The Action Shelf. They don't take huge advantage of the locations. Okay, the castles, yes, but you don't.
Yeah, because
you don't get a lot of the wide shots, you know.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I mean, I really liked the train station stuff at the beginning, and then the driving. I know that that's boring scene setting, but I was just
That stuff is
constantly going,
fine.
"Wow, look at that! Is the forest? These
I
are
mean,
the
it is a
streets."
beautiful. Prejmer is like a beautiful area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I felt like once we get to the castles, we're so locked into these singular locations and interiors that I had read that before I watched the movie, and I'm going like, well, man, show me more of Romania. Like, take advantage of some
it is
of
funny that once the students get set up in that fortress, they basically had 2 rooms to shoot in, I think.
Well, and then you get
and,
to
then,
like,
and you're like, okay,
when
all
you
right.
get to the festival later, they can't go out wide because they can't show how few extras they have and stuff like that.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's at night, and they're probably swapping out masks. They're probably going behind the camera and putting on a different mask, and then... But still, they did a decent enough job.
And there are parts of the movie that benefit from that. I wanted more of that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. But I was still kind of stunned. Just that caught me off guard. And then the actual movie. There it is. I actually enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was just dumb, schlocky stuff.
I mean, like I said, it's very in keeping with what I think of from Full Moon Entertainment. And I also got to say, boy, that 83-minute runtime helps, man. God, that
I
helps.
know.
Yeah.
Brisk. Brisk filmmaking.
It definitely because it definitely like meandered for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then like in the last 20 minutes it felt like they were like, okay, shit, we gotta wrap this up. And then like everything started happening.
I feel like the first and the third act work, but the second act it kind of wanders around.
And the whole thing with Stefan, who I used to love on SNL. The thing with him being in
Pennsylvania's hottest club is
it's got everything.
Yeah. It's got Radu.
The thing with him is the concept. Oh boy, my voice really is scratchy. The concept is fine. I like the dueling brother vampire idea, but the problem is that.
Well, this is my question. Like at a certain point, I'm going, what is Stefan? He doesn't seem very vampire-y.
Well, I mean, he's a Damphir. His mother was mortal.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Thank you, Elliot. I was like,
go.
will someone bring up the word Damphir?
I mean,
did.
They're both half vampires.
Well,
just
why
that Radu's mom was like some kind of hag or whatever.
And
'cause
Radu
has
has
pure
been
monster,
altering
man.
himself with his addictive use of the bloodstone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's lots of questions still for me in this vampire mythology.
That's
Yes.
100% fair.
There's lots
Including like, son. And I'm like, but one of the first scenes we see of Radu, he's like opening his door and walking out and going, hi, everybody. And it seems to be 1
movie,
p.m.
it plays real fast and loose with the sunlight vulnerability.
Yeah.
That comes and goes depending on what they want to do. And
Yes, indeed.
There's
And I
lots
think
of
they
stuff
will retcon something eventually
Oh, I
where
have
like,
no doubt.
evil vampires can't go out in the day, but good vampires can, which again is not a thing that happens in this.
No, because Stefan apparently also is sensitive to the sunlight, which is why he goes, I study animals at night. I hope I don't disturb you when I'm walking around at night.
At night.
Yeah.
I will say this also, and this is all comparative, John. As you know, with our podcast, we are not. If I praise this movie, it doesn't mean it's any good at all.
We're grading on a curve. We're grading on a
curve.
And also, we just watched Howling 6: The Freaks last week. So
yes, So what I will say is, script-wise, direction. Acting-wise, that surprised me, except for, I'd say, almost all of our female leads. But the acting's pretty solid from everybody else.
I found Stefan pretty sleepy, man.
I thought he had... I thought he worked okay, but
literally, Radu
grading on a curve.
Yeah, literally, like Radu and the old man Carl were like the
Carl-
only ones who were doing anything.
Carl MVP. Love
Yeah.
Carl.
Carl is
all day.
we love a Carl type. He's our Van Helsing in this, and we always love these guys,
Plus,
man.
the thing is, what I was trying to get at is that this is a crew and cast that know they're making schlock.
Yep.
But they do not betray that at all.
No.
They're all doing it so straight that I'm tipping my hat every minute. I'm like, you are in that world.
That
Good
is
for you.
Definitely one of the things I enjoyed about the movie is its total
And that
sincerity.
random old woman, she was also doing a pretty
Yes. And I mean, unless we forget, this has got a cameo from Angus Scrimm from Phantasm.
Oh, I was totally excited we kick off with Angus Scrimm, but then I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
They have outfitted him with one of Phyllis Diller's cast-off wigs. That is one of the most embarrassing headpieces I've ever seen on an actor.
You talk about a guy who's used to doing schlock but taking it seriously. That was this guy's whole career.
Yeah.
We find out he is the king of the vampires.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He is Vladislaus himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that. That was I know. I was excited, and I was like, oh, he's gone.
Yeah. He is just in for the afternoon,
and then
to walk around and go, "Wow, Transylvania, great!"
Yeah.
And then
you're
get
needed
murdered
on set, Mr. Scram. Okay.
for no other reason than he sucks.
And then he says, "I got to go shoot Phantasm 6 now, or whatever."
Yeah,
whatever.
Later,
number.
losers.
He's
Whatever
like, press my suit, take this wig off my head.
So we got to talk about this poster because this poster is
Oh, that's right. I always forget to look at the poster.
Yeah.
It is so in keeping with. I swear they could put out like a coffee table book that I would probably buy, just a full moon features covers, posters.
I agree. Because
they're all the same and they're all goofy.
Every comic convention I've been to, Full Moon has a booth there where they're selling DVDs and stuff, and I just love to look at the cover art. I don't want to know the movies, by God.
Yeah, no,
but but because I remember as a kid also being drawn to their cover art, like Trancers and stuff like that, right? Where it's like all futuristic-y and laser guns and stuff like that. But also kind of even as a kid knowing
pulp.
Yes, but even that's the thing. Even as a kid, kind of knowing this is shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a part of me that goes, that looks, or like Dr. Mordred, right? Like stuff like that, where I'm going, this is all reminiscent of things I like, but I know this is the cheap version of it.
I know this is the knockoff, the bad stuff.
Right.
This one's got like sexy female victim and
is this
the
anyone?
little
It looks
people.
like it's supposed to be Mara.
I was gonna say, I don't think this is anyone from the movie though.
Yeah, it's true.
No, because she never wears that, but her hair looks like Mara's.
Yes, I think it is supposed to be Mara, but
kind of true.
The Daisy Dukes? Yeah, what is this?
Yeah, like nobody. It's Romania. Who the fuck's wearing Daisy Dukes and a tie-off shirt in Romania?
Hey, don't judge. Don't judge, Elliot.
That's true.
Yeah, she was just out.
But I will
milking
say,
the cows.
I love the fact that we're seeing
How
small...
never gets cold.
There's a small army of the subspecies here carrying this woman, and I love that the subspecies we see, there are 3 of them.
Nah, yeah.
3.
Did you read the IMDb trivia about the subspecies? Because it's one of my favorite things was that the idea was that they were going to be stunt people in costume, but the director...
And they filmed it.
They did, but the director thought they were overacting, and I'm going, I'm sorry, there was a version sillier than this?
Than this?
I know.
Than this? Theodore?
This was the more serious and grounded take on them.
This is the stuff that Ray Harryhausen
I was literally going to say something that Ray Harryhausen...
He would have been embarrassed to have done this in 5th grade, is what I'm saying.
This is Harryhausen's
This is
reject.
terrible.
Yeah.
Stop motion.
Yeah.
In their very first appearance on screen, because it depends shot to shot. Some of the shots you're like, oh, they actually cast shadows. That doesn't make the animation any better, but at least they're in a scene, sort of. But the first one, they're not even casting shadows. I'm like, they literally could have just put paper cutouts on top of the film and just done that.
I just started laughing the second they came on screen.
Of course.
Like, I just there's no way to take. There's so much in this movie where I'm just like, I can't take any of this seriously. Anytime Radu creeps around, we'll talk a lot about his fingers, but as soon as his fingers come up and like around a corner, I just start laughing because you're like, that's not
they're doing the Nosferatu thing, and they're using a lot of the casting of the shadows.
Brendan, do you think they're inspired by Nosferatu?
I don't know what. That's so. Okay, speak on that.
All right,
I don't know what imagery you've seen.
I hope you guys are ready. I've prepared a whole TED talk, but yeah, the whole thing is that visually that works if you're doing the I'm creeping around and I've got the big. I mean, that's effective. They got enormous long claws. Anytime someone with those hands hold something, then it's funny.
Well, it's just,
anytime he picks anything up,
they can't articulate at all.
No. So and when he's holding that sword at the end, I'm just like going.
My God.
It's just like
It's like because like right there the Nosferatu thing, obviously, and like it works in the shadow in the bits of Radu where you only see his shadow and you see these horrible long fingers.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, just have him for the shadows, have him for like quick cuts.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he doesn't have them when he's trying to hold things or like do stuff.
It's so interesting because we're recording this having Brandon and I, you and I saw Thor: Love and Thunder fairly recently, and there's so much Nosferatu-esque stuff in that with the shadows and things like that. But they are doing more what you're talking about, Elliot, where like things stretch in shadow form. You don't have Christian Bale with big silly fingers on. Because it doesn't.
Although wouldn't that be something?
Oh, it would.
It would.
If anybody could make it work. By the way, let's reboot this and Christian Bale as Radu.
Christian Bale as Radu.
Oh,
he'd crush. He'd crush, man. He'd make you terrified of Radu. Although once again,
and Timothy Chalamet as Stefan.
Oh my God! Actually, now this movie has to exist. That casting is too perfect. It's too perfect. But
Anya Taylor-Joy as Michelle. I think she'd look great as a brunette.
Yes.
Here's the thing: Anya Taylor-Joy in any film.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well,
I'm now rebooting everything with her.
As we say that, I don't know if you guys know that she and the director of what's the guy? The guy who made The Northman and The Lighthouse. Yeah. They're remaking Nosferatu.
My man. Oh shit!
Oh shit! I think I did hear that.
That's the next.
I know.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna assume she'll be a brunette in that. I'm gonna assume.
I know. Yeah, we'll see. I'm so
so
excited about that.
Make it in black and white. That would be very
well.
cool.
If they made it with the same kind of visual style as The Lighthouse, with like the aspect ratio and the black and white, I would love that.
Holy shit!
He's the perfect guy to do a new Nosferatu.
He is.
But sorry.
Though I hope he doesn't go long. That's a problem. Is that I hope he's not like, dude, I have all this cachet. I can make it as slow as I want.
Yeah, I trust. I've enjoyed his movies. I trust him. But let's talk about something much worse than I'm sure that will be, and that is this movie. We got to talk.
Harry Styles was about to be in it, but he's not anymore, so everybody's fine.
Oh boy, that is dodging a bullet. Jesus Christ. But yes,
Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Hey, wait! You're talking about Star Fox.
Yeah, I know.
For the MCU.
I actually think that's a good use of him in the MCU. That's a part he does fit.
And we also know he's not going to anchor a film.
No, thank God. Yeah. No one wants a Star Fox film. So anyway, back to this poster. We've got Radu, who's just kind of watching over this. I love how he's just sort of standing there going, yeah, good. Yeah, bring it in. That's it. That's it. A little closer.
My favorite is the little subspecies guy who's holding the arm that is closest to the viewer.
Yes.
It looks like I had to zoom in to see if he was giving the middle finger. He's not, but I like to think that
he's
he was.
beckoning.
He's beckoning.
I like the one down from the right from him who's doing nothing.
Yeah, I love that
dude
too.
He's just standing there. He looks like he's supposed to be. He looks like he was holding something. Like he may have been supposed to be holding something.
Yeah, like a spear or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it got edited out.
It does have that. And then this house in the background isn't anything from the movie, is it? No, it's a house. It's not a castle.
It is a medieval house or possibly later period. That could be European, but it's clearly not one of the ones in the film.
It looks like a fucking Spanish colonial
It does.
somewhere in LA to me.
Well,
does.
it does have a tile roof, but they had those there too.
And
but it is not from the movie, so they literally clip arted something in.
And who's
and
up there?
then
Who's up there in the house?
Airbrushed stuff.
I want to know who's in the house with the light on.
Stefan being a little booch.
He's reading his dark, brooding literature up there, going.
Or it's Carl inexplicably having prepared his entire life to take down Radu, who apparently lives 2 blocks away from him, but he hasn't made a move at all until this movie. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna kill him now.
Actually,
Yeah.
Radu says at one of his very first lines is that he was banished, and he's
just gotten back. Okay,
yeah,
That's
all
true.
right.
He does come in at the beginning, in a very Matt Berry
just
from
a
IT
clunky
crowd.
exposition.
Father.
and he's acting. He is acting all he's worth.
I will say that across the board, whether it works or not, everybody is acting here. Everybody is going for it in this movie. The best of their abilities.
Our lead actress, who we're gonna get to it, but our lead actress, the main one, who is the
Michelle.
Stepan's, he's just in love with her.
This franchise dumps her going forward. There's a different Michelle in the other 3.
Yeah, she was so good as Michelle that they didn't have her come back.
Yeah,
here's the thing:
they keep the same woman for the next 3, but
she's not good.
No.
But this is what I'll say: she is Brendan Jones's number for the early 90s.
Yeah.
Her look, the whole thing, I was like, oh my God, I would have loved you. So I did go ahead and, I'm sorry. But
no, I'm just saying, hey, wait. Yeah. Oh, no. Let's not get it twisted. She's a very bad actress, but she's she's hot as hell.
She's hot as hell, and that the short-haired brunette has always been a thing for me. So anyway,
this is not the first time this has come up. Yeah, I did look her up. Not much of a career.
Not much of a career, but she has she's a writer or something. She has a blog, and so recent photos of her, and she's a grandma now. She's still very attractive, and she still has the short hairdo.
Nice.
I'm sitting there going, maybe I should drop a fan letter. I just saw Subspecies for the first time.
Seems like the biggest thing she did was, who could forget the 1994 Julia Roberts, Nick Nolte vehicle, I Love Trouble.
Everyone has tried to forget it.
Yeah,
I actually did see that thing. Good
Talk
Lord,
about
is that
two
terrible.
people with no chemistry whatsoever.
No chemistry. Jesus.
At all. Jeez, that's a tough. And also, this brings us to, I get to talk about Nightmare Cafe briefly, which she was on an episode of. Do anyone remember Nightmare Cafe?
No, I don't know this.
Robert Englund's TV show about the all-night cafe.
Was this after Freddy's Nightmares?
This was after Freddy's Nightmares, 1992, created by Wes Craven, TV series. And yeah, it only lasted 6 episodes. That's probably why no one remembers it. But I'm a big Robert Englund fan. So yeah, you have a cafe where creepy goings on happen.
So it was another syndicated anthology show.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Like Freddy's Nightmares, like Monsters, like Tales from the Dark Side, all that stuff.
Yeah, people would come in with, "Oh, you'll never believe what happened to me."
Yeah, he's like, "Why don't you tell me about it? I'll get you a cup of coffee."
Yeah, that kind of thing. And Robert Englund was the maybe supernatural guy who owned the cafe.
There you go.
I can't say it was good, but it was something I remember of being like a genre.
Well, Robert Englund is always
and I love Robert Englund. I will always watch anything, and I've watched a lot of garbage with him in it.
Before we leave the poster and get into the plot, I do have to ask you a question, though, John.
Yes.
What does the Knight have?
Well, believe it or not, Brendan, the Knight has fangs.
Get out!
I don't mind that tagline. I think that's pretty good.
It's cheesy, but again, it fits the movie.
It fits, man. That is good. There are normally I have some alternate taglines. No alternate taglines just because they nailed
one
it
and
on
done.
That one.
They crushed it right out the gate.
That's just. Also,
you know what? I'm taking the rest of the week off.
Also, the fact I don't think this saw multiple releases. This was a straight to video in the U.S. thing. I don't think this went. There's a lot of foreign releases of this or something.
Subspecies.
So Subspecies. Let's get into it here. This movie opens like I love so many TV and straight-to-video movies. It just starts. It just, like, it has no...
Yeah.
There's no preamble to anything. It's just like, boom, creepy castle, and King Vladislav is sitting there. And you're like, oh,
Yep.
okay. All right,
And
movie.
you're like, all right, what's with the hair?
Mm-hmm. And he's drinking from the bloodstone at the beginning here.
I mean, even when they explain what it is, this movie it's like, we're just inventing some shit. So I'm like, all right. So according to this, it is a mystical stone that is imbued with the blood of all the saints.
Yes.
And apparently it was given to the vampires, or they stole it from Rome, or it was given out of thanks because they helped some people. But essentially, they can tilt it back. Now, for the people at home that haven't seen the movie, the visual of it, I kept thinking it looked like a really big ring pop.
Yes.
Because it is like this, it looks like a crystal more than a stone, but it's got a cap, and then it's just a red kind of crystalline thing, and they tilt it back, and it just drips blood in their mouths. And it's like, yeah, that's the stuff.
Real slow.
Yeah.
Just like dip, 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 dip.
Yeah, but like, oh, yeah. But I mean, if you're drinking the blood of the saints, it's got to be sweet. That's got to be some good stuff.
It's very filling.
Very filling. It's like, yeah, it doesn't look like I'm getting a lot, but I'm very full.
Yeah.
Very full.
That is rich. That is rich.
That is some rich stuff.
But here's the question I have about the bloodstone, right? So it's imbued with the
I'm
blood
ready.
of the saints. Is that limitless? Can the bloodstone run out of blood? Does it have to be refilled with the blood of new saints? I don't know.
I gotta say, the fact that there are a few sequels, I have a feeling the bloodstone is
I think
inexhaustible.
the next one's
One of
called
them-
Bloodstone.
One of them is called the Bloodstone, so you may find out.
I think that's two.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the second one.
Elliot, I appreciate you not spoiling it in advance.
They all have, yeah. We went through the titles. You've got Bloodstone, Bloodlust, Bloodstorm. I love that they keep to that naming scheme.
But I will appreciate this, the fact that they're not just putting numbers on, but also they're immediately putting the other things above Subspecies.
Yes.
Maybe because they realize that the Subspecies itself, that the series is named after, is a terrible, stupid effect.
So you get,
literally this movie, the plot, all of it, didn't need them at all.
Why
I mean,
couldn't-
they don't add anything to this plot.
this one should have been called Bloodstone. That's a better title.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Subspecies are nothing.
But I also
They're
love
nothing.
I also love the way that, like, banished for did they say how long he was banished for, Radu? A long time, right?
A long time.
Yeah.
No, once again, no ceremony. He just kind of steps into the castle. He's like, "Yeah, I'm back. What's up, Dad?"
It's true. Yeah, they don't show him like throwing guards out of the way or something or breaking in. He just walks in
money
going,
for that.
"I'm back.
Yeah.
I finally got the train schedule figured out, and then I'm here. The Uber driver just dropped me off."
Yeah, he just kind of walks in and he's like, "Hey," and of course I love it's great exposition where he is telling his father that he was banished. They both know this information, but let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Ever since I was banished, Dad, remember that? Like, so, and he's come back.
And he's like, another interesting slant is we do pick up very early on, in fact, from the scene, that there are good vampires and bad vampires. And the king of the vampires is apparently, even with the Phyllis Diller wig, is apparently a good guy. Radu is the bad seed, so he's like going, "You'll never get the Bloodstone because you're crazy with power and you're corrupted and becoming even more evil with every passing year."
And in fact, "I trap you, son," and this cage drops down on Radu. Twice in this movie, people are caught by things dropping down from above.
Holy shit, man! The net
my
scene,
God.
We
Can't skip ahead to the net scene yet.
No, I know,
Gotta
but
give it its due.
It's so silly.
I couldn't.
It's
I couldn't.
so silly, but
It
this
reminded
was
me of the Spider-Man skits in Electric Company.
Yes.
Whenever Spider-Man would be in the Electric Company, and they would just he would go "Phew," and they would drop a net on people. That was the.
I mean, even the Nicholas Hammond show did some of that. Really, this episode.
Yep. Oh God, a net. Anyway,
yeah.
we'll keep going.
Yeah. So this shows, but little do we know, Radu snaps off all of his fingers, and then
just the tips.
Just the tips.
Just
the tips.
the last knuckle.
That's actually
all of those knuckles that he has. So
all
many
I could say is, okay, I know it's dumb, but when this happened, and all I could say is, why did this happen before the song "Fingertips" by They Might Be Giants had come out?
Yeah.
I would have loved to have that underscore where it's just like fingertips.
Hey man,
chops
if
his
they
own-
make this new one, they could get that in there.
So Radu basically, and I'm like, is this his way of escaping? This is weird.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out what he was
snaps
doing.
off his last knuckle, and also apparently they grow back because he's got them fine.
I know.
for the
I
movie.
thought that would be the. I thought they were just doing the crazy long fingers for this, and then he would have kind of normalish hands later. No.
And he only does it for one hand. He chops off the last knuckle. They fall to the ground. We spend way too much time looking at them because, and this is what I thought was hilarious, is King Vlad is also looking at the fingertips as they start morphing and changing. And then they become these little homunculi. They're red-skinned with glowing yellow eyes, stop-motion puppets, which are terrible.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The king was watching this happen, and it takes about 18 minutes, conservatively, for the fingertips to turn into homunculi.
Yep.
Why hasn't King Vlad walked over and smushed them with his foot?
Well, I'd love that Angus Scrimm never even stands in his whole performance here. He just sits there the whole thing.
yeah, that is true.
He's
And he's
just
just
like-
looking at them going, oh no.
That's
Oh.
bad. This
Oh
is-
no, are they little
Like-
people now? Oh shit.
And then they go and, reverse the trap,
Mhm.
which, why do you... Oh, well, I guess you'd have to put it back if you unspring
Yes.
it, but... But
They,
and you freeze
they already
Radu,
know
and then-
everything. They're like, okay, yes, they make
And-
the trap go up, and now Radu is ready to rumble with his dad.
And is King Vladislav alone here? Like, he never calls
Yeah.
for help. He doesn't... Yeah, it's just sort of like...
Stefan's off studying wolves and shit.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's a lonely life being the king of the vampires. I think that's the what they're getting at.
Heavy is the head that wears the vampire crown.
God damn it.
Heavy is the head that wears the wig of Phyllis Diller.
Ah, yes.
It is a huge,
It is a-
stupid
Yes.
shock of white hair that doesn't look like it
Looks
came out of that man's
So
head.
bad.
No.
It looks so
No,
bad.
they've placed it atop his head, yes. And
And it doesn't
did
help that they
nothing.
constantly play clown music behind him every time he's on screen.
And so, yes, Radu stabs his father,
Yeah.
and then...
This is the most passive death of a king of vampires I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This is like, and there you go, Dad. He's like, oh no.
You got me, son. You got me.
How could, oh.
Yeah, I
Oh.
wanted to see him put up some kind of fight if he's the king of the vampires.
And this is
He
the only
must have-
movement we see of
he
him is
must
when he
have
falls to the
gotten-
ground.
Yeah. He must have gotten a vampire cancer diagnosis from that doctor a couple months
No,
ago. He was
no.
going anyway.
Oh no, how long do I
But
have,
I've got the
Doc?
bloodstone. It's not doing it for
It's
you
not
anymore,
doing
Vlad.
Oh
Not
no.
doing anything.
What are our options? Do we try vampire chemo?
How long do I have, Doc?
Yeah.
About 200 years.
Oh,
Oh, God, so
Oh.
soon.
Got to put my
Sorry.
affairs in order.
no.
Maybe I should call my evil son.
Try to make amends. See, yeah. Oh, see, it's all coming together about, what's going on, why it happened.
Radu, I know we've both said things we regret.
Father, I hate you.
Yeah, we haven't really gotten into
So
the
die.
Radu. Every Radu line is said like this.
Yeah. You never congratulated me on winning that basketball game.
Here's the thing I love
It
about
was a feat because my hands are
Yeah.
so big and
I kept piercing the
unwieldy.
ball with my nails,
you tried
flattening
to dribble
basketball after
with
basketball.
Let
these
him play,
fingers.
Ref, the kids kept saying.
I kept looking in the stands for you, father.
Radu, Radu, Radu.
When I went up against Scott, the werewolf from whatever that school was. Oh,
The Teen
sorry.
Wolf
Teen
crossover?
Wolf subspecies crossover. That's
Yeah.
my fan fiction.
And he
I'm
also
working on it tonight.
and believe it or not, he also boxed the Jason Bateman werewolf too. So
Show me a werewolf who's involved in sports, and
Thi-
I will best him.
this guy Anders Hove, who plays Radu, and he's the only actor who's in all of these.
Thank
well, yeah,
God.
you can't have
can't.
different people playing Radu.
But what I
He's
love
literally
is,
irreplaceable.
Yeah.
if you take a look at this guy, he kind of doesn't need the makeup. He's pretty scary looking just on his own. I mean, like he's got a little bit of that Tom Noonan creepiness, where you're just like, oh, this
and he
is
also
a general
looks very much
unease.
like Nick Cave.
No, he looks a lot like Nick
a little
Cave.
bit, yeah.
And apparently he's been doing General Hospital off and on since 1990.
Oh yeah, he has. Jeez. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So and a lot of stuff in his native Greenland.
But he is in Subspecies 5, which is in pre-production.
Oh, you better believe it. Blood Rise.
Oh no, that means we will end up doing that one probably in the 2 seasons from now.
Yeah. If they can get that made, which looks like they've got poster art, they've got new cast members. I think that's imminent. I know. I think I read online that same filmmaker. I mean, that's the different thing with The Howling than The Howling. This is one guy's vision across all these movies. So.
And it does have Denise Duff back. She's the replacement.
Yeah.
So they're keeping what's her name, Michelle.
Yeah.
Man, she's in all of them too.
I think she really is kind of the main character of the franchise, right? I think.
Yeah. And she is clearly not human anymore at the end of this one. So
yeah, Ted Nicolau is the filmmaker behind this, and we'll talk about we'll get around to him. Other than I see he's made some other vampire movies that we will.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, that last name is Romanian, so it's possible he's actually Romanian.
I do believe he is.
Yeah.
Though he went to UT, University of Texas.
Yeehaw! I see that.
Longhorns, probably.
Yeah.
He's a Longhorn.
Yeah. So interesting. But yes, we'll also talk about his movie Vampire Journals. Later this season, which I think
that one I've seen. That was like a cable thing. That was on cable so often.
I think these went to cable pretty fast too.
Yeah.
Because the more I saw of the imagery of this, the more I like vaguely remember seeing some of this on TV as a kid. Like just
I want to say for the record, I have spent no money on any films of Full Moon. Their stuff was so ubiquitous on late night cable.
Yeah.
That everything I've ever seen from Full Moon. Well, I guess that does mean I paid for it.
Yeah, I mean,
because I was paying
not
for
them
cable
directly.
but
yeah.
I never rented. I never went into a rental store and said,
"And thank
ooh,
Trancers 5."
It's the new demonic toys.
Which subspecies do you have behind the counter?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
I'm
fine
always on the
vintage.
lookout for number 3.
Has anyone returned Subspecies 3 yet?
I'm sorry, do you happen to have TerraVision? No? Then I'm out.
Yeah. So but we get the big thing. The trailer loves this scene too, because I did watch the trailer for this, where Radu licks the blood off the blade of his father.
Yes, he kills his dad and then he licks the blade.
And this is like every promotional picture for this. This is kind of like the whole
it's
franchise.
It's a good shot.
It is.
It might be the best shot in the movie. I'm not gonna lie.
It's good. It's good blood. The blood looks good. The way it drips off the blade, very effective. And this actor is fucking going for it. He is lapping that
Now,
up.
here's the thing that I don't know is actor choice or probably not. I'm sure it is just makeup artist choice, but Radu is of the breed of the sloppy vampire. In other words, we do not we don't see him if he does not have a strand of spittle blood dripping off his mouth. Every scene is like, I just ate and I don't care for napkins, because that stuff is just dripping off his bottom lip.
Teeth in 500
Yeah. That's why he was banished. They couldn't deal with the breath anymore and the dripping. Oh,
and the fact he was constantly followed by little clay people that move jerkily.
Yeah. We just can't anymore with it, Radu. So then we get this very long sequence of the train coming into the station over credits,
which I loved. I'm sorry.
I loved every moment of this.
No, it was just the scenery. I was sitting there going, I believe this is actually Transylvania. I was expecting it like to find out. No, they doubled. It was actually Czechoslovakia of the time, which doesn't exist anymore. But I was like, they must have shot somewhere. This is the right area. It looks like it. So I was amazed. And then then to find out it was actually Romania. I was
Except for, here's the thing. I agree with you about the scenery, but being the pacing guy on the show, I'm going,
no, I know.
Good Lord.
Yes, we do follow the train. And then we see the trio. Well, not the trio.
No, just the
two of the women get off the train. They are the token Americans.
It's Michelle and Lillian.
Yes, and they are meeting their friend Mara.
Yes, yeah.
Who is a local that they went to college with. And she's like, hello, welcome. Oh, I'm so glad to see you, my friends from America. And they're like, yay, we're here.
Remember how, and they're like, remember how we went, the exposition, all of the exposition is so clunky. It's like, terrible. Hey, remember how we went to school together?
Yeah.
And my favorite.
Remember how we said it would be great if we got to go to a place and actually, study in the country?
Yeah. So my favorite one that I wrote down is when they're packing up the car, Mara's car, and she's like, oh yeah, we can stay at the, they have a place for scholars at the fortress. And Michelle says, that's us, scholars. At least that's what we put on the grant application. It's like, there's so many ways,
I know.
so many better ways to set all of that up.
That's
us,
just
saying,
scholars.
That's what we put on the grant application because we're here because of an education grant to study for school.
Well, later they talk about their PhD candidates or something too, which they don't read that way to me with the way they're acting.
Don't look old enough.
It is more about also just how I'm sorry, not a single one of them is a good actor, but
oh Lord, no.
But I guess there are ways you could, even with something as badly written as that, deliver it to where you at least go, I buy it. And you don't hear. Because what they seem to be, and as you're saying, Elliot, why are they saying this to each other? For one thing, they all know exactly who they are and what they're doing. But they seem to be, we're fun-loving gals out for the summer.
Yeah.
This is our summer trip. So it's almost when they do the thing about, that's what it says on our grant applications anyway, it almost sounds like, we're scamming everybody with those grant applications. We're just out to have fun around Europe.
Which is,
we're going to have a ball. And then they get in the car.
By the time you're getting your PhD, I'm not sure you're just, hey, we're going to run around Europe. Like, you're pretty serious at that point. And
I love when she introduces the car and is like, sweet ride. And she's like, yeah, it's made out of cardboard.
Like, baffling.
Yeah.
Well, I think that
More
actually...
baffling.
I could hear the crickets in the movie.
But no, it actually is.
That Lillian's response is, really?
It actually is because the communist states, and I think they are every now and then trying to drop in real stuff, which just lands weird. But yes, they did not import actual Western vehicles, and the cheapest vehicles they could make, they actually did make out of reinforced cardboard. So that's a real thing.
Oh.
But
man,
then
it played as a bad joke to me.
Yeah, it plays as a bad joke. And also, it is the response of, really? Instead of someone going, oh, right, because of that. And then explaining to the audience, oh, because, this is a recently opened communist country that has not yet imported Western stuff.
I'm surprised that
dialogue... instead it's just like, that's crazy. Can I drive it? Absolutely.
I'm surprised what you just said isn't said in the movie, given the amount of exposition that's in here. Well, being this is a recently...
they probably could have done all that.
There
and
was
they
no
never...
time for that.
They never touch on the fall of communism, and did I regret that? Yes.
I did. I mean, so that's what I thought about when we talk about them being like PhD candidates and stuff. Is I'm going like, why couldn't they just be college students touring Europe? Like, I don't know. Why overcomplicate it? This is a classic mistake these movies make, where it's like you're asking, like you're just putting too much in. It doesn't matter.
What I do love is that anytime, like when they get to the fortress and Carl, the caretaker, who I think is he our favorite actor? I mean, Radu is over the top, but Carl is solid, and I love that guy.
Radu is going to be here, so I feel like we really need to celebrate Carl. We're going to talk more about Radu in weeks to come.
Radu ain't going anywhere.
No,
but Carl's only got the one movie in it.
Right, exactly.
Carl is just, a typical glowerer because he's like, oh, these frivolous American women. But one of them actually says something about local history, and then he perks up like, you've done your research. You could, as you said, John, they could have just been students and surprised him with that knowledge. It doesn't have to be about we're doing our doctoral thesis
because that's
at the age of 23.
When he's going like, I can't believe you know that, and they're like, yeah, we're actually smart. Like there's a line. It is pretty much
them doing that. Them like putting their hands on their hips and going, because we read.
And you're like, all evidence to the contrary, anything that happens later in the movie. But
it's like all of your intelligence is called into, especially at the end or towards the end where Michelle's like going, that's her outside. I should let her in.
Oh my God.
You mean the woman that you know is dead and you buried?
Yeah.
I need to go let her in.
You buried her with your own 2 hands.
I know.
What are you talking about?
It must have been a mistake.
Jesus.
Yeah, this is pretty bad stuff here. So let's see. They arrive in the when they're in the fortress here. They immediately are just going, "What's that? What's this? Let's run all over the place." The guy's like, "Please, no, be careful." Oh no.
Well, there's very loose writerly intentions. The writer attempted to give each one a different personality. It does not work.
I was gonna say attempted is the key word.
Immediately, Lillian, who's the curly-haired American, and Michelle is the short-haired brunette who I am in love with, even though she's a bad actor.
Well established.
Lillian is supposed to be the one that is pretty oblivious, doesn't read the room, and is constantly just being nosy, and she's irritating. Whereas Michelle's respectful. And Mara is, I don't really know what her personality is supposed to be.
She's foreign.
Mara's the local.
She's the local. But yeah, and she has to explain a lot. Like, there's a festival for the undead. And you're like, great, let's talk about it. But no, Lillian's the one that's like, what's this? Can I go down this hallway? She doesn't actually ask. She just goes, what's down here? And then she's like, let me go up the attic. And Carl's just like, no.
Don't go up there. And when they do go up there, there's several coffins.
Yes, like Carl just wanted to show the false wall, and they're talking about in the past. This is their folklore, which doesn't tie into real, obviously, Romanian lore. But there was a battle versus the Turks. That is true. The Turks were the bad guys of the day. But they're saying that the monks of the fortress held out. The Romanians, the locals, held out against the Turks with the help of the vampires. The vampires helped them, and so that's why they celebrate this festival, to celebrate the time the vampires came to our aid. So that's Carl just like going, yes, here's this. But of course Lillian looks down the hall and goes, hey, look at those stairs going up there. And he's like, stop. She runs up there and she sees a bunch of coffins.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yes, well, well, the locals are about to celebrate the festival, and the monks were always prepared for their passing, and let's move on.
So weird.
Carl, by the way, is visually also awesome. He is an extremely tall guy. Wait, what's the actor's name? I had it right there. He is Ivan J. Rado.
Yeah.
And again, I think he's a local.
Ivan J. Rado.
I think that's Romanian. I think he's a local there, except for he was born in Mexico.
Actually, he is Mexican, and if you look at his career, he was in several of the Santo and Blue Demon movies.
Oh, that is so great.
60s, the Mexican wrestler movies, yes. So this guy's
I do
Mexican.
see his middle name is Jorge, so okay.
Man, interesting.
But he is very convincing as a local Romanian.
This guy was in Peckinpah's The Wild Bunch.
Good Lord.
And
he died in Seattle.
Whoa.
I have so many questions about this man. And one of his last things was on a show called Acapulco Heat. But Heat is an acronym for something.
Yeah, I think that was like another syndicated thing, like a Silk Stalkings, where they're like going, "You guys think that Baywatch doesn't go far enough with the TNA? Well, watch Acapulco eat."
I see that Fabio is one of the cast members on it, so I have many questions, but that's a rabbit hole I'll go down.
Well, you'll be buying the box set later today. But what I'm saying is that he is great as a presence, and he sells everything he's in. And I love watching him duck to get through every single doorway.
Yeah.
He said was
he's
not
in this
built with
fortress
my
and
comfort.
going, "I will leave you to your meal," and then he has to go boop and get out the door.
Cool.
It's great.
Yeah. So yes. They let's see. What else? Oh yeah. So I like that we cut back to Radu, who goes, "Minions, fetch me my bloodstone." I'm like, wait a minute.
Like, right? It's such a weird cut. It's such a weird edit because it's like, oh, we do all this stuff with Radu, and then we have this extended stuff with the girls, and then suddenly we cut back to Radu as if this is happening concurrently.
Yes.
The thing that, but it is, and I saw the main problem is that where we left Radu, this does seem like it would have happened immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he is having them fetch him the bloodstone like he does multiple times throughout the day. So I don't think it's supposed to immediately follow the death of the king. This is days later, and he's just going, "Get me the bloodstone again."
Oh, that doesn't work.
Because Daddy's got to have some of that. It is a terrible editorial choice to not show a passage of time for him.
The other thing is, it really is. It really does feel like the movie goes, "We need some Radu right about now."
Yeah, just to remind people there's a Radu.
Because it's like. Because the whole movie, I mean, even I felt this as a viewer. I was going, oh, okay, like palace intrigue with vampires and the evil prince. And I'm going, okay. And then when it cuts to the college girls, I'm going, well, this seems like a different movie and one I'm less interested in. So it does feel like the movie's like, don't worry, we still have an evil vampire running around.
Don't worry, we're not just going to hang out with these frivolous gals and their studies.
Because, we cut to them, and they are taking pictures of children from the village frolicking.
Yep. They are...
Yeah, it does seem... They do... Like, yeah, it's just odd because, like, yeah, those scenes seem to be... That scene seems to be, like, more touristy. Like...
Well, it is their first time in Transylvania, and they've got to take pictures of the locals. Wouldn't you?
But their whole thing is they're here to study the myths and folklore of the culture, right? Isn't that what they say?
Yeah.
They don't do a great job of that,
not
except for
traditional Romanian garb.
Not till the last, like when they finally find. And I'm sorry to use the term. They find the Romani woman, the traveler woman. But they don't use those terms. And,
no, they do not.
But that is later in the film, and they're like, let's hang out with her and get actual folklore for like a minute.
Yeah.
You're like, well, that'll justify your grant. Good for you.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's but here they go, oh, look, it's the old castle. We should go in there. And they're like...
Which literally, it does seem like it is 4 blocks from where the fortress they're in. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, yeah,
I was going to say,
go there any afternoon.
One of my biggest things I was confused by was how far apart are these things? Because it seems like far apart here, but then right next to each other later.
Yeah.
Really, really lazy screenwriting here.
Word.
But it's this Lillian is the one who tries to open the gate and cuts her arm.
Because Lillian's the one that keeps she's the nosy one.
She's adventurous.
She's an adventurous. Yeah, she's like, oh, I'll just shove this door open. And both the others are like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't. She's like, no, I've almost got it. And her hand is in.
And we see Radu because we're cutting between that and Radu having just woken up.
And he's
like, what's this?
Yeah.
And then
who's here? I just got up.
Yeah.
Similar to the Arborean kid in Flash
blood.
Gordon sticking his hand in the tree stump. And yes, I did just rewatch Flash Gordon recently.
Because it's great.
She goes, ah!
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, something has gotten her, and she pulls her arm out, and it's got a cut in it, a gash.
She just got a cut. Hopefully they have a tetanus shot in the village.
Yeah, and then...
Spoiler alert, they don't.
And then Radu, this is the afternoon.
Yeah.
Radu then, as they walk away, he doesn't open the door. He literally yanks it off.
Yeah.
Well, he pulls it off the hinges and just like lifts the door, moves it, and then he walks out in the sun going, "Nice ladies.
Yeah.
Pretty ladies." And those are the actual lines. He actually says, "Pretty lady."
He does what he grins evilly, is what I wrote in my notes here.
Yeah. I'm glad you're actually so diligent with your notes.
Well, yeah.
Grins evilly.
Radu grins evilly, it says.
He does.
And so then when they get back, wait, is this the thing where they talk about? Oh, no. Yeah, okay, hold on. So when they get back, they go, "Hey, how come nobody ever talks about that castle?" And pretty quickly, Carl's like, "Yeah, don't go there. Bad idea.
I should have told you that before you actually went there, but now that you have gone there, I will tell you again. Don't go there."
And right around the time of this conversation is when hunky Stefan enters. Oh my!
Here's the thing. I mean, again, I liked his performance, I think, a little better than you guys, even though he is so subdued and he's got big doe eyes. But I love the fact that his hair is full on. They're like going, "You are the lead singer of Aha."
Oh, 100%. He is absolutely in that
we have
vein.
not left the 80s behind just yet here in 1991. So he's got
I did think
literally
it was
whatever that guy's name
that
is.
He walked
he's got
into
his hair.
the movie going, "Take on me."
Yeah, I like that when he shows him in this movie, he's literally first just a sketch. He's like an actual drawing come to life, and then he comes through a mirror.
I will say, he is a guy that when I looked at his career and I see he spent most of it doing General Hospital, Bold and the Beautiful, I went, yes, 100%.
It does fit. It does.
This guy screams soap opera.
Everything fell into place.
But again, I love how he is just like the rest of them, playing it so straight.
But he's also smoldering, Brendan. He's just
the whole thing is he's so sincere about everything.
He's doing that thing with a lot of like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he's like, "I trust that I haven't frightened you as I walk about the castle."
They also do the thing where they immediately like push in on Michelle, being like, "Oh my."
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Michelle, it's love at first sight. The other ladies are like, "Hey, he's a cutie," but she's like, "My love."
Yeah. It's
love.
It's the Twilight thing, right? It's that thing where it's just like I see this guy and I'm like, "Yes, we're together forever."
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't think Stefan continues as a character in this franchise.
No, he gets,
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm curious.
Keep it to yourself.
I don't want to hear it, but I am like, oh no, does that mean off-screen death between movies? That's terrible.
I do think, like I said, the concept of a pair of vampire brothers, that's Shakespearean if you did it well. That's kind of a great idea.
Yeah.
They really don't treat it that way.
Do it well.
They don't do it well.
No, because there's such little interaction between them. Like that, you don't get a lot of the like, "My brother," you know.
And then when they do confront each other, it just instantly becomes the fight you've been waiting for. But there's not a lot of, "You always took the road of blah blah blah," and I have always been the blah blah blah.
It becomes a fight. I'm not quite sure it was the one I was waiting for.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, the one that you're expecting, I guess, is what I should have said.
Because, Radu's handling of that sword is pretty sad. Pretty sad
It's
stuff.
hilarious!
They weren't able to get some very good fight choreography due to that.
No, that is, again, they did not have a fight choreographer.
No, they don't have anything.
Love the whole thing. They're just like going, clang.
Well,
overhead clang, side clang, overhead clang.
We'll get to it, but they do something I truly hate in sword fights, which we'll get to when we talk about it.
All right.
So they go. Yeah. The girls go into town. Well, yeah. He talks about he's here to study. We talked about nocturnal animals, is what he says. Nocturnal.
Yes, that's why you won't see me during the day. Yeah.
Night, and I'll be out at the night. But anyway, the next day the girls go into town to interview the Romani traveler woman, and she's the one who tells them all the mythos of vampires.
Yeah, because we get the story of the vampire, like, you know, the villagers come out the next day and all the soldiers are dead, and that's when we get the story about one of the villagers or something going to Rome to steal the Bloodstone to give to Vladislaus.
Yes, as thanks for their help.
Yeah.
And I think the Romani themselves play into it as in they brokered the thing between the vampires and the locals, which also, of course, would mean that all right, it is dumb, but I'm like, okay, that kind of fits. Because the idea that Dracula, the most loyal followers of him were not the locals that he fed on. It was the tribes of travelers. They served Dracula. So I was like, oh, I kind of like that. But anyway, this is a terrible movie, is what I'm saying.
I don't know, Brendan. You keep coming back to, well, but let me tell you what works.
This is
again,
and is
we're grading
that
on
rare
a curve.
for me?
We are. Yes, we are grading on a curve. We did set that earlier.
And that is rare for me to be the guy that's finding some good in it.
It's true. So, because then you get a scene that you talk about people being stupid, them just going, we're so tired. Let's sleep in this field.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
What are you...
They didn't even bring a picnic. Like, if it had been, we did some research, now let's take a break and have a picnic, and then they happen to fall asleep. Like, it just, there needs to be something.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
there's
nothing.
there's
nothing.
No, there's a couple places where either Carl or Mara will remind the visitor ladies, the Americans, that there is distance between places and that maybe we should hurry because the sun will go down soon. But it also seems weird that you would have to tell people that who have gone the distance and they have to then double it to go back somewhere. So the idea that they could be like, oh, we just let the day get away from us. Let's sleep in a field is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You knew exactly how long it took you to get to that town, talk to that woman. You should have been like, oh, wait, hold on. It's 3:30. If we leave now, we'll be back in time for dinner or whatever. It's like, shut up.
Like, have them get lost.
Yes.
Have them get lost. That's a classic.
Yeah, I agree.
The problem with Mara being a local.
There, that might not make too much sense, but
Correct.
like something.
This movie is not.
I mean,
not
I
too
go
worried about things not making sense.
anything other than let's lay down and go to sleep in this field. What? That is not anything a human being would do. I don't understand this. Yeah. Have them at least incidentally fall asleep, because then they will do them lost in the woods. Also, in classic vampire movie fashion, everyone is doing something right at sunset. Always.
Yes.
It's always right before sunset or right before sunrise is when everything occurs. This is a common complaint on this show about vampire movies, but is
that no one's watching their watch.
Yeah.
No one's looking at their watch.
Particularly vampires. Vampires are always caught by surprise by the sunrise.
And like, what? No!
Like,
you telling me that 6.5 hours have already passed?
Don't start
Bullshit.
your evil deeds at 4 a.m. Like, what are you doing?
Like, at least in Return to Salem's Lot, the evil vampire power made them go to sleep until sunset.
But I'm just glad anyone has done a callback to that movie, which I would like to forget.
Return to Salem's Lot.
This movie, at least in Return to Salem's Lot.
I'm fucked up.
That's not on my bingo
I was gonna say,
card.
This movie could have used some Jeremy energy. That's all I'm saying.
It's true.
We don't.
There's a distinct lack of Jeremy energy.
I hope we get a sullen kid character at some point in this. I guess that's Radu in some ways.
In a way, he is our guy.
Yeah. Because he is the guy
this
who's like,
town sucks balls. Jesus, kid.
Whatever, Dad. You don't get me at all. I'm
gonna stay with my cool vampire friends. You dick.
Didn't they just get through telling you I'm fucked up?
You know what?
Fucked up.
That would totally work as a Radu line.
It would.
Haven't you heard, brother? I'm fucked up.
Another great crossover idea.
There you go.
Radu, what do you think of this car? I don't care.
So they're like, oh no. When they wake up, we slept for 2 hours and now the sun is setting.
Mm-hmm.
Quick.
Running through the woods
through
and Radu is
forest.
going after him.
Yeah, Radu. This movie loves I mean, I think these are meant to be jump scares. They didn't even remotely startle me when he appears in trees and stuff like that.
Well, because he looks so friggin' goofy, and they're not building any kind of atmosphere.
No, I thought, wow, I am becoming a defender. Even though this movie
I
is
thought
shit.
it was very effective and creepy, says Brendan.
No, here was a cheap camera thing that they did, which is one of the dumbest, cheapest effects, but it's slightly effective that I did like, and they do it judiciously, maybe 3 times in the movie, where they're kind of, again, with the Nosferatu idea, is they do that thing of the shirking shadow. Like, you see Radu with the arms out and the big, long fingers, but you're only seeing his shadow on something, on the ground or something. And when the sunlight comes, or, I don't know, whatever is affecting him, all it is a quick, like, the shadow retreats. So in other words, the actor himself just ran backwards or something, but it does make it look like the vampire is being rejected or repelling from something. I was like, that is an easy but effective little thing, and they don't linger on it. I was like, sure, oh, good on you.
Unfortunately, they haven't done anything else to build up the atmosphere that would make that effective.
You are absolutely correct.
It's a good shot and it's a
good visual idea.
Economical use of visuals.
Yeah. Yes, but there is nothing.
They don't do any of the work.
No, and they don't appear to have much interest in doing the work or ability to do. I mean, it's just sort of like everything.
Well,
here
Charles Band is sitting there going, "Hey, we're wasting daylight. We're losing daylight, people.
Come on.
We can't really afford day for night. We spent all of our budget on these stupid special effects.
we had to make those puppets."
Yeah. So they're running through the Radu, but then ultimately they run into Stefan. Oh, thank God. And so he, this is a horrible cut. All right, this is a truly terrible cut. They run Stefan, he goes, I'll take you guys back to the fortress where you're staying. Then we cut to Stefan in the castle later by himself. We're to assume that he took the girls back to safety, then went to the castle where he finds his father's dead body. Now, this is the first he's just finding this? How long?
It seems weird because it seems like he's been back, or he's been in this place. Well, he's been in the fortress apparently before the women showed up. So that means he's been there for a while.
I'm assuming that one of the coffins that they find in the weird hall is his, and that's why Carl is so weird about it, because he doesn't want them finding Stefan.
Right. Maybe Stefan and his dad are somewhat distant, and while he knows that dad's just miles away at the castle, he's like, he's fine, and hasn't bothered to check it out. Maybe once he saw Radu, when he saw Radu, he's like, shit, Radu's back, I better check on dad.
Yeah.
Oh no, dad's dead, I've inherited the wig.
But again,
and then he puts
has
it on.
Many scenes with Carl. We could use at least some lip service to him being like, hey, Carl, like, hey, girls, go to, get inside, everything's fine. Hey, Carl, I'm going to go to the castle. I think something's up.
Agreed.
This
and I would
really
just say,
me. This cut,
Elliott, you continue to make this movie better with every thought.
Release the Lewis cut.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Hashtag release Lewis.
I want Full Moon Entertainment to give you the raw footage, Elliott, and you just get in there and tinker with it.
And I would actually watch this a second time.
Have I ever edited a movie before? No.
Can
I figure it out? Probably.
I think you do a better job than whoever edited this.
It is really terribly done there. And actually, this is me still saying that the photography on this is so much better than the shit we've been watching on the Howling thing.
Yeah.
Agreed on the photography aspect of it. But actually, I think in some ways, the Howling 6 at least made more connective sense between scene to scene.
It did. 6 did. But we've seen that...
We're still haunted by 4, man. 4 is still the absolute
that's
worst.
the marsupial one,
No, that's 3. 4 is the one where they go back and tell the origin of the werewolf.
Yeah, what is it? The original...
The original Nightmare. Howling 4, the original Nightmare.
Great.
That is truly unwatchable.
It is worse than Marsupials, which is weird.
Oh, and Marsupials
but still
is watchable. Marsupials is horrible, obviously. They're all bad. Only the first one is good. Like... so we do get a scene of Radu and Stefan here where Radu has grabbed Stefan's head, and with his blood-dripping mouth is sort of whispering into his ear about how weak their father was and about how he's sort of just taunting him that he has the Bloodstone now. And does him having the Bloodstone make him de facto king of the vampires?
I think.
Unclear.
But also, there appear to only be 2 vampires, so what does it really matter?
I know.
So far.
Yeah. You keep expecting like if there's a king, then you keep expecting at some point others to show up and going, what has happened to our liege or whatever. Instead, no, it's just the 2 brothers.
That was a question I kept having, is like, he's king of what? Who are his followers?
And does he just sit in that throne all day for hundreds of years?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
no
apparently,
dude.
No idea whatsoever.
Unclear.
Yeah, there's so much in this movie that is just unclear.
He's like, it's too early to binge watch television. There are no streaming services
here, this
yet.
continues to be a problem, because here, this also. So we cut from that. We cut from Radu taunting Stefan to Radu again. The movie does this, and now Radu is creeping in the window of the room in the fortress where the girls are sleeping.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, once again, cutting from one character to that character, just doing something in a different location is really jarring.
Yeah, it's just filmmaking 101. You don't do that.
Yeah, cutting from character to character like that. It's another thing where you're going, wait, what is it? We just saw him. Okay.
Now, is this where he's basically he's coming after Lillian because she still has the cut?
This is very
like,
Nosferatu. Right.
I'm gonna turn all these ladies, so you're up first.
And this is also where Charles Band, one of his signatures, comes into play.
We gotta get the boob in there.
Oh my God.
I am so glad you did the song. I was like, oh, please let Elliott do the boob song.
Right? Like,
that's Charles Band
I
original.
wrote the jingle for you guys. I'm not gonna forget to do it.
I know.
We gotta get the boob in there.
Well, because it's so unnecessary. The way, because Radu is drinking from, I love him in the window, and the camera kind of rack zooms in on the cut on her arm, and you just get Radu being like,
that looks so tasty.
Yeah, yum.
Radu hungry.
Yeah, as if Radu wouldn't have bitten anyone to get blood if they just all of a sudden he's like, because Radu seems to always be craving blood. Like, he is the thirstiest vampire.
The Bloodstone, we hear from Carl at one point. I don't know if it's earlier or later, because this is the middle of the movie, so everything sort of just happens.
Yeah.
But we hear from Carl that the Bloodstone is like a drug to Radu.
Yes.
Right, which actually King kind of hinted at the beginning. Like, essentially, only a kingly guy like himself can handle the Bloodstone without just like abusing it. And apparently Radu is a junkie for the Bloodstone.
Like an Infinity Stone.
Well, I think the Infinity Stones corrupt anyone that's holding it regardless.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Oh, nice.
Oh, somebody please, with some editing skills, insert Radu into some Avengers scenes. I would love that so much.
Oh no, my cursed hands. They tingle.
What have I wrought?
You should have aimed for my head.
Elliott, do me a favor and don't ever just chop your fingertips off for any reason. Because I do not want to see little red clay people running around.
Coming out of my fingies.
But every time they cut to them, and the people listening at home will have noticed that we rarely speak of the subspecies because they show up like 3 times in the movie. The animation's terrible, and they don't do anything except for do something vaguely helpful for Radu, and that's it.
But like the thing is that they're not even load bearing. They're not load bearing gremlins.
No, and unlike the minions, they don't have personalities.
No, man. Yeah, they don't have their own language.
What if they
we need to edit Radu into Avengers, and we need to edit the minions into Subspecies.
Yes.
This is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Or at least dub the minion voices in over the footage of the bad stop motion.
That weird little minion language. I would love that.
Stupid.
But yeah, so when he goes he's drinking from her arm, and then he goes, time to get at that neck, but first just gonna pull that boob out. Just one boob. There it is.
I haven't seen a boob in hundreds of years.
It is strange that Radu, who now owns the relic that all vampires would want, which endlessly drips the blood of saints into his mouth. It's weird that he would be like going, damn, I could go for some American.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, why does he need victims at all? He's got the bloodstone. Like his dad, he could sit there all day just going...
If I learned anything from watching the Dracula ballet, it's that Dracula or any like main vampire antagonist cannot get enough ladies. Not enough ladies.
Maybe that's why they're my favorite
Dude
monster.
starts out with 20 brides in this ballet, gets another one, and then after he turns her, he's like,
you know what?
Damn, let's go pick up some more chicks. Renfield, get over here. Renfield, bring the carriage around. We're going down to pick up more chicks.
I want to say we've talked about that as it is the biggest weakness to use against Dracula is he loves the ladies.
He loves the ladies.
Can't get enough.
It's in every one of those Dracula movies. That's ultimately his undoing is he just can't resist the ladies. But here, I do love the idea of I'm going to get at her neck, but first let's pull that boob out. Because I thought he was going to drink from her breast, actually. I really thought that's where it was going.
Yeah, but no, he really does just feel her up with his big, creepy fingers.
Yeah.
Fingies, if you're Elliott.
Yeah.
Then I got to get them fingies on it.
Get them fingies on the
Or
boobies.
Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Okay, but yes, but this is such an obligatory... horror movie thing, but specifically obligatory Charles Band.
Oh,
it will get worse later.
100%, it will get worse. Okay. Yeah.
Well,
I just mean later in this movie.
It'll get worse in this movie because with the shredded shirt later. I mean, come on.
Oh my God! And the only one who escapes is my girlfriend.
Yeah,
Michelle's the only one that doesn't have to disrobe.
I can't tell if you're glad or disappointed about that, Brendan. So he goes to, but then Stefan comes in the room and that scares Radu away,
which is wild because again the previous scene was him holding Stefan by the throat going like, you're just a little piss boy and you can't do anything,
and then here he's like, oh no, Stefan.
Does Carl also come in? Because that would make sense.
Let's see, where does I say that here? Yeah, maybe Carl comes in too.
Probably Carl. It's probably Carl that makes Radu
because
freak out.
Then this really doesn't make sense once again. I think I've said that more on this than anything. Because Stefan we see then chasing after Radu, but now it's daylight? Because what's going to stop him from chasing him into the castle is he's like, the daylight, it burns, kind of.
And I think he's taunting him with that too. Like, you'll never get back to your crypt in time.
Sucks to suck, Stefan.
Yeah, it's like, oh wait, but I'm so close to mine. And I think they do the shadow thing here too, like the retreating shadow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is dumb. They just ran all night, as you do when you're a vampire.
But across the street, possibly.
Yeah.
Unclear.
So much unclear. I mean, that's the catchphrase of this whole thing is unclear. But
you can get the special edition Blu-ray that does in fact include a map of the localities, and it's very clear when you see it.
Then a really crazy thing though, he says to Carl, he's like, "We must find Radu's resting place." Wasn't that where he just went?
I know it is. There's nothing in this movie that deserves, and that is a classic vampire thing.
Yeah,
Van Helsing and all these films, like we'll find where he sleeps.
But those people don't actually know where it is. Like
in the case of this movie, they should have left this out entirely because there are two locations. One's Radu, and that was where the king was, and everyone knew where the king was. And then Stefan, the fortress. There's only two places. Come on, man. We have to find where he sleeps.
So while Stefan is racking his brain to figure out where the hell he's gotten to,
he's so crafty. He's like a wolf.
Where I don't know. I just don't know. I wanted him with a stack of maps, even going like, where could he be?
I wanted him with a piece of paper that says Alucard on it, looking for a mirror.
We're always back to that.
There's a clue here that if only I could decipher it.
Alucard. That's something. I know it.
It's something. I feel it in my bones.
But while he's trying to figure out where that is, we have Carl sharpening stakes. And then actually something I do like in this movie are the shotgun shells with the rosary beads. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty interesting.
That's a unique thing we haven't seen before. We've seen many a vampire killing weapon on this show, but that is new, and that is a cool idea.
Yep.
And something I will 100% steal in something.
And I also like in this movie how anytime, whether it's Carl or Stepan or whoever, whenever they lay out what they're going to do to kill Radu, it is never just stake him. Every single time they list like 8 things,
which I'm on board for. Finish the job.
We're gonna cut off his head. I'm gonna shoot rosary beads through him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna burn his head.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pour holy water on him. I'm like, dude, keep going. I'm going to pull his heart out. Make a bread. Eat it.
Yeah. This is gonna be like a whole week-long process. No, I like that. I like that they're like, we are going to finish the job.
Too. It's not as easy as just staking them. It's always 1,000,001 steps.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah, Buffy made it seem so easy. Just stake them.
Yeah, like,
and then they poof into dust.
Yeah, and then they poof into dust. You don't even have to worry about cleanup.
No, it's great, man. Buffy had it easy, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
So so he's working on that. That's all cool. Meanwhile, they've called in the local doctor to examine Lillian, and he's like, she's seems to be missing some blood here. Yeah, and they're like, this is so bizarre to me once again, because like, who knows what at what point, like, Carl and Stefan obviously know it's vampire, but they're kind of playing dumb with the doctor.
Yeah,
weird choice.
And it is also weird to include this at all.
Yeah.
The thing that really struck home is when Lillian dies, which is pretty quickly on the heels of this.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've got Michelle looking appropriately sad, but I keep thinking, this is an American tourist. And all they're going to do is wrap her in a blanket and bury her in a Transylvanian yard.
Yep.
Doesn't she have family? Aren't they going to ship her body back home to the States?
There's no time for that.
This whole movie does something that pisses me off about a lot of these things, which is nobody seems alarmed enough. Like, there's the people who know it's Radu. You know, there's Carl and Stefan who are like, we have to stop Radu. They're resolute. But, like, yeah, Michelle's upset that she died, but she's not like, wouldn't you be like, what the fuck happened? Like, Jesus Christ. None of us were supposed to die on this trip. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. She just looks, she looks like, oh no, my poor friend.
Yeah.
Even the villagers, because Lillian dies after the fest, like after Michelle leaves the festival.
We have the whole
we haven't talked about the festival.
The Traveler woman is like, don't talk to the Americans, like they're here to bring, the devil back, which I'm assuming she's talking about Radu.
Well, of course.
It's so weird, her turn, by the way. She's in like 2 scenes, and in one she is like, I will tell you all I know, and welcome to my hut, and why don't you wear the mask? We're being friendly. And then the next time we see her, she's like, shun them! Shun them!
And then she's immediately murdered by Radu after that.
And then she's immediately murdered, and then we see her chopped off head in the mask getting holy water dumped on it.
I did like that.
That's the totality of that story.
That I was on board for.
I know you were.
But also, the idea that Carl knows the vampire traditions, and yet he's like, we should bury her before the villagers get a chance to do that. No, if anything, Carl should be like, we should cut off her head and do all that shit too. I know it's dark and ghastly, but trust me, it has to be done.
Michelle, you're being super ethnocentric right now. Let us just do this. It's our
because how does he not foresee what happens?
Last time I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. You've got to do this. Or just covertly go, yeah, I'll bury her. Don't you worry about it. And then he can do all that.
Yeah.
But no.
No, because she's got to rise up out of the grave.
Have there be some plot contrivance that keeps that from happening other than
we're
Carl just being dumb.
Yeah.
How dare we bring logic?
How dare we request logic?
And It's so funny. I was gonna bring this up earlier, but it's so funny that like I'm like Subspecies funny, had good time, and I'm like ripping it apart, and Brendan's like, I hate this movie, but let me defend it for a minute.
No, it is bad, but it was watchable, and like John keeps pointing out, at 86, 87 minutes. 83.
Yeah.
I just was like, this is painless.
If you take out,
we're almost at the end.
If you take out opening and closing credits, this is like a 70-minute movie.
And they did include the bit in the Festival of the Undead, which, as we pointed out, has 5 extras en masse jumping around. But they do include the thing of, and of course, the Americans have to have everything like laid out. It's like where they bring in the white horse, and we did see a funeral at the very beginning when they came to town,
and they were creeped out by it. Remember, they were like, "This is spooky.
This is a fresh grave," and they're like going, "It's tradition that you bring the white horse to the fresh grave, and if it refuses to jump over, it's a vampire." And then we pound the stake in. What's weird about this is Radu had shown up already, but there's no indication that this recently dead person ever rises from the grave or is a vampire. No. But they do show the horse being spooked and will not jump over the grave, and then they show them staking the earthen mound.
I felt bad. I felt bad for that horse actor who they obviously had to really scare to do that. And the horse did seem appropriately freaked out.
So I was like, well, it's good to include, but again, if this doesn't pay off, as in this isn't actually one of Radu's new turns, then why?
Forget the knight has fangs. The tagline should have been Subspecies. Nothing pays off. Really.
The plot has holes.
Yeah.
Fang-shaped holes.
I mean, were they thinking franchise? And was this like, oh, wait till part 2 when we start answering questions?
I will say that Full Moon Features thinks of everything as a potential franchise.
They do, because everything pretty much is. I think they've made very few movies they haven't made at least one sequel to. Yep. Let alone most of them, they've made 6, 7. I mean, what are they up to now? How many Puppet Masters are they up to now?
Actually, I would not have minded a second Dr. Mordred.
Could have used more Dr. Mordred.
We only got the one.
Yeah. Well, because they nailed it out of the gate, man. You can't do better than that.
Yeah, they
go, we can't top that.
We're done. That's it.
Yeah. So, like we said, the gypsy woman gets killed at the
Traveler.
Yes, the Traveler. Yeah, I'm still stuck in the Universal.
You're in the Universal 1940s.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, the Romanian Traveler woman gets killed by Radu. And and then we've jumped a little bit forward here. Oh, finally though, this is where Stefan is like, all right, let me tell you what's going on. Now, there are good vampires and there are bad vampires.
Yes.
Now the only good vampire
Michelle's
we see,
like,
though,
I
is
know
Stefan.
there's something not human about you, and he's like, all right, you got me.
Yeah. And so he tells the story, and he goes, and then once again, this kind of stuff just drives me insane, because he's like, and I'm a good vampire, and I have to destroy Radu somehow, wherever he is.
My guess would be walk across the street to his castle.
You've had two separate interactions with him. Yeah,
have a clumsy sword fight with him, and then just get it over with.
Well, it's just one of those things where I'm just going like, you know where he is. You've had 2 separate kind of extended interactions with him where you could have attacked him in some way.
And then
so easily stumped. Like, God, how do I handle this?
I don't. Oh, this must happen afterwards. But so the wildest thing happens. Because after this festival, right, you know, it's daytime now, and so Stefan's like, I gotta go take a nap.
Yeah.
And so Michelle is the one who says to Carl, hey, why don't we go check the castle for his coffin? And Carl's like, that's just crazy enough to work.
I do love the fact that, I mean, we still love Carl. He's a great character. But again, the way he's written, he is knowledgeable. He's been here his whole life. He knows the story. He's a friend of a prince vampire. All this stuff. He was probably friends with the king himself. So, but he just is like, at this point, like going, you mean during the day?
Because he even says, he goes
over there, and
he goes, if only we could know where he is and get a shot at him while he sleeps. And Michelle goes, oh, I think I might know where. He rests during the day. And he's like, really? Show me! God!
And to be fair to Carl, it doesn't work.
No.
Well, okay, yes, that's true.
He's not there when they get there.
He isn't there.
Yeah. His coffin is, though. It is where he rests. He's just not.
Yeah.
He's not in the coffin at the time there.
He put in a down payment on a second coffin, so he's.
Well, speaking of coffins, I don't know exactly where this happens. It may be a little bit later, but we get a glimpse inside of Stefan's coffin, I believe, or maybe it's Radu's. But the thing that cracked me up, again, this is shot pretty well for what it is, but it is also cheap. And sometimes their choice of lighting is weird and very full moon, where you get a lot of bright neon blue moonlight or fog. And you're like, how is it lit that bright? But anyway, at one point they open up one of the coffins and there is such a light within the coffin that I'm like, has he lined it with like some of that cool...
He's got LEDs for gamers.
Got LEDs in there. I'm just like, dude, how are you going to sleep with that?
I've totally tricked it out.
Yeah, I tricked it out. You know what we should do right now, though? I think we should take a werewolf break.
Take a little werewolf break. There's no werewolves in this movie, so it's time we take a werewolf break.
Yeah, I'm going to go hang out with a werewolf. I'll be right back.
And come back to Subspecies.
I'm ready.
So we're back from the werewolf break there. Looking through my notes here, I don't know where somehow Mara gets captured. Who remembers how Mara gets captured? Because I can't see that in my notes. I just have that she is.
It's at the festival because Michelle leaves Mara there to go check on Lillian.
Right. Yes. Right. Yes, because Lillian...
She gets captured and for reasons that are never explained. Because Radu, we've seen, he'll attack someone, drain them, dump them.
Yeah.
In the case of Mara, he's like, you know what? I'm going to chain you up and I'm going to tear your shirt in perfect rips that will show your nipples.
Yeah.
And this poor actress, if I felt bad for the woman who had to have her boob pulled out earlier, this poor actress I feel so bad for because she has to wear this the rest of the movie.
Yeah. The last act of the movie is her not completely topless, but they have perfectly posed the rips.
It is
every scene. You're like, oh, maybe they'll be covered for this one because she's turned. No, somehow the nipples are always like.
We've seen a lot of gratuitous nudity on this show because we're a horror podcast, but this might be the most extended gratuitous nudity because it is extended in every scene with her from now on. I can see her nipples, and it's just it's awkward. It's not sexy. It's awkward.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
and she's also forced to, in a torn shirt, pretend that she's very frightened by little men that she can't see, and that the audience wishes they couldn't see.
Yeah.
Because literally, I mean, if you guys have seen claymation, and I'm sure you all have, or stop motion animation, they are always awkwardly. What they do is they just put two different film frames on top of each other, and if it's well done, then it's it's passable. But this literally looks like someone has just shoved them up like Poochie in front of her, and she's like going, but they are clearly not in the same space.
No,
and they're just like
about the lighting
waving their arms jerkily, like, we are threatening you.
They don't even do anything. Why are they threatening? They're tiny.
I know, and she is captured. So what's
but she
the
does
point
go
of
like
going,
she wakes in the chains, and then she's like, little things.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And then now we've come to
the final showdown.
Michelle and Carl try to go kill Radu. They fail, so Stefan goes and tries.
Yeah.
So Stefan goes and sees Mara chained up, and he has his wooden stake.
Yeah.
And then deployed the greatest weapon that Radu has at his disposal. Stefan's only weakness.
Yeah.
A net.
Oh my god. Oh my god, the net. I had to pause the movie. I was laughing so hard. I couldn't.
I forgot about the net, and I was also laughing so hard.
Here's the important thing that people forget about vampire mythology, and that is their weaknesses are sunlight, holy objects, obviously steaks, garlic,
running water. We've learned from the Hammer movies.
Running water, but also they cannot defend against rope that has been tied in sort of a pattern. It befuddles them, even though they have great strength.
This is the stupidest
they can
thing.
lift, throw people, but you put ropes on them, they're like, oh no!
The net falling on.
Why do you think we never see a vampire with macrame as decoration in their castles?
This is true.
That's
Terrifying.
exactly right. Why do you think all of their
It's a
plants
weakness.
sit on the ground and aren't, hung in plant holders? It's because macrame is anathema to the vampire.
The thing that's the net falling on him is very silly.
And I felt so bad for the actor too, because he had to be like, "Oh!"
It's him writhing around on the ground, unable to get out of the net. That is particularly embarrassing.
Yep.
And I'll say this, Brendan: between two vampire captures we've seen, is this more embarrassing than the vampire trapped by the shower head in that one Dracula movie?
This is much more embarrassing. The shower head, at least, is trying to do like modern update of the folklore thing about running water. So I appreciated it on a level where I was like, oh, okay, that's cute.
The thing that was bad about that, though, if you recall, was the slapstick pratfall he had to do to fall into the shower.
To fall into the shower, and then they had to up the stakes by having the skylight open up, so it wasn't just the running water, then it was also sunlight.
Yeah, it was a very... that was another thing I laughed a lot at, because it was a very silly progression of things.
This is as embarrassing as Satanic Rites, where Dracula just gets caught in the thorns.
Oh God, yeah, where
Christopher Lee is like, no, I am trapped in the thorns, and yes, they are of the right breed of the holy thorns, but he's like, I can't get out.
Did Dracula ever not go out in a terrible way in those movies? I think maybe that first one, when he gets hit with the sunlight,
where it's just they're grappling and Van Helsing just gets him right there.
Or he holds him to the ground with the cross made of the candlesticks and the sunlight.
Yeah.
That's cool. But that one where he slips on ice?
Where he slips on ice and goes on the water and it's like, oh no,
something you never want to see Dracula do is flail about.
He's like, as we said, Christopher Lee's Dracula has there was a lot of embarrassing physicality with the deaths.
Oh no!
When he's being threatening, he is badass, but when he's dying and it's like, whoa! Hate it.
No! So let's get back to this here.
Do we have to?
Yeah. Stefan captured by net. Meanwhile, Lillian has risen from the grave and Radu is there to be. Radu may have some kind of teleportation power because he just bounces around this movie.
It is true.
Yeah.
He's just wherever they need him to be. There he is. By
the way, we had already had established that Carl took Michelle to the church.
The church.
Yes. So they're hanging out in the church.
And he said, you'll be safe here. And then they actually do, and I appreciated that. I'm sorry to appreciate anything, but they did have this thing where Carl turns around and goes, Stefan, you are welcome to this church.
Yeah.
And he enters, and then Carl says, a vampire, this is a twist, though, instead of can't enter any place. He says, a vampire cannot enter a holy dwelling unless he's been invited. So Stefan goes, now I'm safe in the church.
I'll go with that because that mythology is a turn on classic vampire stuff, and it makes logical sense within the movie.
But the only reason I bring this up is at this point where Lillian is up and vampired out, and this is so stupid. Michelle heard what Carl said.
Yeah.
And she buried Lillian. Now Lillian's outside using her. I will say this. They didn't make her do like the creepy Salem's Lot thing of let me in.
No,
instead
she's just her normal
she's
voice.
Just like going, Michelle, let me in. Please help me.
Yeah.
And Michelle's like, oh, I have to let her in. I have to let in my friend Lillian.
And Carl's going, no, don't do it. And
so he doesn't try too hard to stop her.
That's about all he does is he goes, don't. Oh, no.
No, don't stop. Come back.
Yeah.
And she gets whisked away quickly. And that I will say that was pretty effective, of her leaving the door and that kind of sound effect happening, and then Carl coming out and there's nothing there. That was pretty effective.
And also cheap. But
exactly.
It's basically all you hear is Michelle go, "Oh no!"
Yeah,
that's how.
That part of it was bad, but
that is how you make a cheap horror
acting.
movie, though, right? You do cheap things that actually are like, okay, yeah, you're being cheap, but it is effective, and that it doesn't.
As
look
long as
stupid,
it's effective, I don't care how much anything costs. It's like, did it look good? And it only costs $5. Great, good for you.
Yeah.
So then she wakes up, also chained in the dungeon. Now everybody's in the dungeon.
She's chained right next to Mara, and like I said, she's probably looking over at her saying first, "Oh my God, my friend, I hope she's all right." And then their second thought is, Can you cover up a little bit?
Well, that's all I thought too.
Mara,
is like now everyone is seeing your nipples. Like
it's like, hey, Mara, the girls are loose. Okay, can we do something about that?
But also, there's just, I'm sorry, there's not enough fabric to do anything about it.
No.
I'm like, okay, all right, that's fine. We're both ladies.
So is the implication that Radu just went ham on that shirt, just tearing it open?
Or that was some subspecies action?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Maybe those little dudes climbed up on her and ripped her shirt.
I don't think I want to think about that anymore.
But then we see that Michelle is very competent.
She immediately escapes.
She's doing some spy shit. She's using her legs to pull over a pole or something to.
She instantly figures out the weakness and what she's chained to, figures out how to hang, and just is like, and I'm done.
Yep, and then she's over trying to help Mara, and was anyone surprised at Mara's turn? The big reveal?
This scared the shit out of me. No.
Oh, you are a sensitive guy. I keep forgetting him.
I couldn't believe I had to hide under a blanket for a good half hour after this. I was shaking.
Yeah, Mara, sorry, even though she's chained up, she's basically just baiting her friend because she pops the fangs, and Michelle's like, no!
Yeah.
She actually said it like that, which is jarring.
And so then I do like the costume change here that now both Lillian and Mara are in like white Bride of Dracula dresses when they bring Michelle upstairs where Radu is holding.
That's something the
Stefan.
movies never address, but it is something. As soon as you become a vampire bride, they hand you your white diaphanous
you are now
gown.
a bride of a vampire, and we're going to issue you your dress. And like there's somebody with a clipboard going like, yes, hi, I'm head bride here.
It's just like when you join Heaven's Gate cult and you get your Nikes and your tracksuit.
Well, that wasn't Heaven's Gate, was it?
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. That was Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, and they all committed suicide waiting to join the UFO behind the comet.
Hey, here's the thing that's great about that. We'll never know if that worked.
That's true.
For all we know, they're cruising around space right now.
And they're laughing at us like, oh, those idiots.
Fools.
If only they had bought Nikes.
Yeah. So now we get to the final thing where what's the plan here is that Radu is going to make Michelle into a vampire in front of Stefan. Like
he's like,
because what we didn't mention is that Stefan does have feelings for Michelle.
Oh, they kissed earlier. We
tries
didn't
to
talk
talk him
about
out of it. Carl's like, dude, I understand. She's hot. She's a terrible actress, but she's hot.
You will live forever, and she will die.
Yeah, are you really wanting to see that happen?
And then we learn that Stefan has an Oedipal complex, which is neat.
That is nice. Not explored enough, in my opinion, but
she looks so much like Mother.
Yeah, but so in true older brother fashion, Radu is going to take the thing that Stefan wants right in front of him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
it's like, not only am I going to kill you,
in his words, desecrate it, which gross.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not, but I didn't get it. What do you think that meant?
Maybe when you're older.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Elliot.
Brendan hasn't had the talk yet, so we still think that's on his parents to handle. Little late on that, I think, your folks there, Brendan.
Maybe. I don't know. But so that is the plan, and that's classic cackling villain stuff. Like, I will take your bride.
Well, it is one of my favorite moves in the Hammer movies. How many times was Dracula's plan just like, somebody pissed me off, so I'm gonna fuck their wife, sister, or daughter?
Well,
or whatever.
that one particular one, oh god, I can't remember
they all
exactly.
Bleed together,
Taste the blood, maybe, but that one that I still love because it was so like, fuck You fucked with me. Guess what? I just did your daughter. I was like, God damn, Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
Damn.
He did that a lot. But yeah, as for which one is which, I've long forgotten the difference between Taste the
I just
Blood
remember that was the
and
one
Satanic
where
Rites
a lot of it is him walking around rooftops.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's Radu's big plan here. But first, he's got to drip that blood out of his mouth all over her neck, man.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, why do you have to spill blood onto her first and then
nasty.
bite her neck?
Yeah.
Because he nasty. That's right.
He's nasty. He loves it.
Because I'm fucked up.
Because I'm fucked up, and I'll keep doing this in every movie, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet he's going to be drooling through every single one of them.
The night has drool becomes the eventual tagline.
The night drools.
Yeah. Oh.
But then MVP Carl busts in.
Oh, Carl kicks that door in with his double barrel, man. And he's like, not today, motherfucker.
But what's weird is we did see the creation of those cool shotgun shells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he wastes all of them just right there on Lillian.
Ladies, yeah.
And it's like, blam, blam, and they go down. I'm like,
I know. Did you want to? Well, number one, I'm bummed about one thing I love in anything with a shotgun, which is Lillian does not go flying back when she gets shot with that.
Yeah, no.
Huge disappointment
I thought
on that.
the wound or whatever, it looked pretty good. It looked like shotgun
But did
blast.
you want to see that?
But she does just stand there.
Yeah. And it almost makes me go like, well, did that not work? But no, because he hits her again, and then she does die from that.
Yeah, and it's Mara because.
Is it Mara?
Sorry,
Okay.
it is. Yeah, it is Mara. Yeah,
it's not super important, but the final battle is between Radu and Stefan and Michelle and
that's right,
Lillian.
Yeah.
Yes, because who cares about the local? It has to be the two American ladies fighting.
Yeah. But so then, okay, out of shot. By the way, he only made 2 of those. I mean, I know he's only got 2 in the barrel, but carry more.
Come on, man.
Well, no, it's like, well, that was it for that, and now I'm back to just the stakes.
Yeah, and he's got the long stake, which I think is a good idea because then you got some distance on you.
Yeah.
But that gets knocked out of his hand, and he goes. This is so lame because Carl's so badass, but he takes one jab at Radu, just knocks that stake right out of his hand. You're like, well, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Carl.
Yeah.
Better in theory than in practice.
Does Carl die?
Yeah.
He gets knocked aside. I can't remember. Do we actually?
Lillian strangles him to death.
Oh, wow.
Well, fuck her, man.
Yeah, come on.
She's the worst.
We needed more Carl in this franchise. It bums me out that we don't see Carl. There's some other male character who becomes like the
Van Helsing.
I don't know if he becomes Van Helsing, but there's a guy who I think plays a human who's in all of these. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm so psyched about more subspecies, obviously. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
Curse you, Elliott. Curse you!
I love sowing chaos. It's my favorite hobby.
And then,
you are very good
if there's a scene in the castle, eventually 2 people will grab broadswords off the wall.
Yeah.
And start dueling. That's
and
just
again,
gonna happen.
yeah. And John, I want to hear what you were gonna say about the
Sorry,
fight
this does the thing I hate in sword fights, and I love sword fights. It's one of my favorite things that can happen in a movie or play. But they doing the classic thing, which is they are swinging for the other person's blade, not actually trying to stab or slash the person themselves.
True. It's like their target is the other sword instead of the person holding
the wall. It is the worst thing you can do in sword choreography, where it's like the point is not to clang the swords together. So especially and Roger can't fucking hold a sword, of course. Yeah.
You will be proven wrong because this fight is only
the
about
point.
clanging. Whoever clangs the most wins in this fight.
I'm clanging more than you, brother.
And they're like we said at the very beginning. Yeah. Well, neither person is convincing as a swordsman.
No. They just gave him swords and said, "Go at it." Clearly,
Stefan looks like a person holding a sword, but the problem with those fucking fingers of Radu's, he looks like a fucking puppet. He looks like whenever Kermit holds something, and we accept it in the Muppet world because all the Muppets they interact awkwardly with other things, and that's great because we're amazed at the puppetry.
Yeah,
but here these big fucking string bean fingers clasped around a broadsword. It just looks like he's like doing his best. Like, I can barely hold on.
I'm looking.
It's like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever had this, but like, I mean, if anybody's ever gotten a manicure or acrylic nails, like it's like trying to do anything with those fucking things.
Yeah,
that is what it looks like. It looks like anytime I've seen people with very long nails try to do something like type, and then you're like, oh man, they're doing their
hard.
best.
So I'm looking through the credits here. There, of course, there's no fight choreographer, but there is a stunt coordinator on this movie who should have done better. I feel like with this, I'm still going to put the blame on him. Also, looking through the credits, I think it's interesting. The production designer's name is actually Radu.
Nice.
Whoa.
Well, Radu is a fairly common name there, so
I just think it's interesting.
It's not too surprising.
And this is the same
like
guy who
Steve. Hi, I'm Steve.
This is and don't worry, he stays with the franchise, you guys. He continues to be the production designer for this. And we'll go on to do one of my favorites, also in this Full Moon era, which is Mandroid. He ends up doing the production design.
Mandroid, which I've never seen, but I remember seeing the poster for that.
Oh, it's a great poster, and it's a very dumb movie.
I can only imagine.
Very dumb. I also like 2 people edited this film. 2 editors were making mistakes.
Yeah, you take the first pass, and then I'll do a polish.
And then I would love the idea the same person goes in, I don't need to touch anything. It's a masterpiece. Why?
You know what?
I can only screw it up.
I'm going to step away because you've done it.
Wow.
You've given the world Subspecies.
Yeah. While this duel is happening, a much stupider fight is happening, which is Lillian coming at Michelle, and she's just holding her back with a torch.
Yeah.
She swings it at her. Well, here's where I'll forgive that, and I'm making an excuse for it. But
you are such a Subspecies fan.
No, but it occurred to me watching it how stupid that was, and then I did have the thought: if you've just become a vampire, you may not know your limits.
Okay.
So to be afraid, that's like an inbred human thing. It's like, oh God, a fire being waved at me.
But it really has Frankenstein shades to it, is the problem.
Yeah, it does. She's like, oh no, I can't stand it.
Also doesn't help that Lillian's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always hated in any film, whenever people become monsters, that instead of being them but evil, I hate where it's like, well, now I have fangs, so I have to go rah.
Yeah.
All that stuff. I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
Just be you but evil, okay? That's
bad.
all.
Radu somehow, even with his horrible disability of his fingers, is able to get the upper hand in the sword fight. And knocks Stefan's sword out of his hand. But what's this? Luckily, what's this? He's able to get that stake spear, and which has now been lit on fire to add a little bit more drama to it.
Yeah.
And impales Radu with that.
Hells yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me you weren't excited by that, because I won't believe you.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. And then gets up, grabs the broadsword, and takes that head right off, man.
Yeah.
It does. And I'm sorry, keep going, Ellie.
Oh, and Lillian, and also Stefan, does the classic cut the rope on the chandelier, and it falls on Lillian, impaling her in the stomach. And then Michelle tries to kill her, but can't bring herself to do it. So I think Stefan's the one who stakes her. Or maybe it is Carl. Maybe he did survive.
I can't remember now.
I can't remember
either.
It doesn't really matter.
What did register with me is it wasn't just the one chop and head off. I did kind of like the fact that Stefan goes ham.
Yeah.
It's like even after the head comes off, he's still like going,
well, also, has anybody been sharpening these broadswords in the hundreds of years? I mean, like, they're rusted. And so I can't imagine it'd be a clean chop with that thing.
Probably not.
But it was.
But
still,
now Stefan has the bloodstone, for he is now king of the vampires, I guess.
Sure, why not?
I don't know, but
yeah.
Whatever, man. He and Michelle, they do some smooching here.
Now, I this is literally me forgetting. Was the implication that Michelle had been grievously wounded, and so he was like, "I have no choice but to turn you to save you"? Or was it just, "I just love you so much, I want you to fucking turn me into a vampire"?
No, because of whatever Radu did, she was gonna turn anyway. But because Radu is evil, he makes evil vampires. So she was like, I don't want to be like him.
I want you to do it, so I'll be a good vampire.
Finish the job.
And that will allow me to be in all the other films.
Yeah, I do like that she does
look very different.
She specifically says, I don't want to be like him. She's basically saying, I want to be a good vampire.
Mm-hmm, yeah. That's a choice I would make. I mean, Team Michelle.
Is the idea that depending on who turns you makes you a good or bad vampire? Is that the idea?
Yeah, it's not about your actual character.
As you guys will learn later, Radu is a very special case.
Oh, interesting.
Well, they did mention that his mother had been some witch woman.
Yeah.
Radu's a special boy.
He's a special boy. Man, when you get to his mom, she is a real piece of work.
Oh, does she show up?
Ooh. Maybe.
Oh, now I'm excited. Now I'm excited for this. I want to get into the family lineage of this.
John, stop. No, don't embarrass yourself.
I mean, let me say honestly, I am more excited about this than more Howling films.
I am too. It's been a rough road, man.
It has, and we still got 2 more of those fucking werewolf things. God damn. So he does turn her and puts her in a coffin. But what's this?
What?
There's some minions walking around by Radu's severed head, and whomp, those eyes pop open. Freeze frame.
They didn't burn the fucking body.
And you also think, and it is just whoever's doing the animation, they are subspecies themselves, because this is terrible. Because the implication is, at least you're looking at it thinking they're going to walk over, pick up the head, and walk away with it. Yeah. But no, just like every scene with the subspecies, they just stand awkwardly in front of something and move their arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And flash their glowy eyes. I'm like,
It almost begs the question, could you cut them out entirely?
You could. You absolutely could. All they do is get them out of the cage.
Which there could have been any number of other ways that he could have done that.
Right. And they bring him the bloodstone, but he could have actually gotten up off his goddamn ass and gotten it himself.
Lazy. Fuck that Radu. Come on.
Oh my god, you guys. You're not going to believe it.
Uh-oh.
I'm not.
The visual effects guy, David Allen, worked on The Howling, the original.
Oh, man.
Oh, he has to have done the terrible stop-motion werewolf.
Yes,
the worst part of that movie.
That has to be the case. That's the only part of the movie that doesn't work, I think, special effects-wise. All the other practical makeup stuff is great, but I bet that's the case.
He has to be a stop-motion guy.
We talked about
he is, yeah.
In what is otherwise a good movie, we really ragged on that stop-motion.
A decade later, he has done another shitty job.
Back again.
Back again.
I'm not a fan. I'm sorry. And I know that stop motion in and of itself has never been a perfect technique. It's usually best if the entire film is stop motion.
Yeah.
Or you're a genius like Ray Harryhausen, where even if you don't buy it, it's still so well done. You're like, I love this.
Come on, man. Come on about RoboCop.
Yes, RoboCop's pretty great, especially for its time period, and since you're dealing with mecha kind of things,
that's what I mean. I've always enjoyed the Ed 209 stuff.
Yeah, Ed 209 is great, but I mean, this is just shit, and it does make it feel so much of like a full moon feature. It's like, there you go.
There is a look to their movies. There's no question.
And Puppet Master is all
He was also an animator on Dr. Mordred.
Yeah, I think once you fall,
I am very familiar with his work.
I think once you fall into this world. And looking at his career, it does seem to be the case. Once you fall into this, he
was the go-to guy for Full Moon.
Oh, he worked on one of my favorites of a total schlock piece of shit, which is Q, the Winged Serpent.
Oh yes, that is a cult favorite of mine as well.
Yeah,
and
I see that the stop motion is about the same, man. This guy, I just like that. Oh, he did work on Flash Gordon. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No. He worked on Flesh Gordon. Never mind.
Oh.
Oh,
Ooh.
and
Yeah,
actually, the thing that is always triumphed or lauded about Flash Gordon for being a terrible softcore parody film is that people do respect that they spent the money to have Ray Harryhausen sub Ray Harryhausen stop motion effects, because there's like the penis dinosaur thing. Yes, I have seen Flash Gordon.
I think there may have been a mistaken late night viewing of it by me, thinking it said Flash Gordon.
Nice.
But I didn't.
No,
I didn't
I'll
change
admit
the
that
channel.
I sought it out because of what it was.
Well, I'll admit I didn't change the channel, but I'm saying
There
I
you
didn't
go.
initially seek it out.
Yeah, so there it was, and that means I am very familiar with this man's work. I've seen it in way too much, and it has never improved over because Flash Gordon is from the 70s. So
Yeah.
70s, 80s, 90s have now seen examples of his work,
And
he's not very good.
Well, it is one of those things where how much can stop motion really progress?
Not until the computer cameras that they had later.
In this format, I mean, because now we have amazing stuff that like Tim Burton and Wes Anderson do with their feature films and stuff like that.
And if you have money like Lucas, you can have a Rancor beast that looks, pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still jerky and stop motion, but come on.
So do we tell people to watch Subspecies?
Yes.
Oh.
That's an immediate yes from Elliott. I'm gonna say, oh man, I might say watch at your own peril. I do, yeah. I mean, I think as a franchise, this is gonna grow old, but it is an interesting novelty here. But I would almost also say you could watch any Full Moon production and you'd get this quality from it. So
I will say the weakest of recommends, only because it is grading on a curve. And as far as schlock stuff, I've seen worse.
Yeah.
I've seen much worse. In fact, recently on this podcast.
Yeah.
So I will say, okay.
Yeah.
And you get to see Transylvania in 1990.
Yeah.
And you get to see the love of Brendan's life, this woman who played Michelle. So
yeah. Oh, I
Make
need
a
to find...
drinking game. I'm sure that there's a Subspecies drinking game.
there is.
Where-
I use this recommendation a lot. This is another one, like so many I've recommended. Like if you're gonna get people together to kind of rag on something silly, this is pretty good for that.
Would the drink? What would the drinking game be? Would it be any time the subspecies show up, or would it be every time Radu drools?
Oh, Radu drooling's pretty good. Although who wants
every
to
time Radu I'm reading a Reddit. every
somebody
time Radu hisses, every time he's having trouble picking up an object.
Yes. Yes. Very good. I was gonna say the drooling one is only I don't want to consume any liquid if I'm looking at that on screen. Actually,
I know.
There's the problem.
I mean,
with that.
and I do. I mean, vampires are portrayed in so many different ways. I've seen grosser vampires, the slathering beast type of vampire.
Yeah.
It's not. But and I've seen the gentlemanly ones.
Yeah,
and
we've seen all kinds on this show.
Yeah, but this is fairly effective. Bargain basement, but those fingers, man.
Yeah. Well,
Lord the fingies.
how about next week on the show, Brendan, we've talked about this, is a total mystery to both of us.
Yes.
Neither one of us have ever heard of nor seen this movie. And it's a film also from 1991 entitled Children of the Night. Elliot, do you know this one?
Oh, here we go.
Because this one baffled both Brendan and I, and that's not often a good sign on the show if neither one of us have even heard of the thing. That's trouble. 1991's Children of the Night, starring Karen Black and Peter DeLuise.
Right.
Yeah. And a cameo appearance, it looks like, from SNL veteran Garrett Morris. He's listed in the cast.
Oh, this is such a weird cast. And way too many writers on this.
A lot of writers. And directed, I think we joked about this before, directed by Tony Randall.
Tony Randall.
Not that
spelled
one.
different.
Yeah, not that one.
Not our buddy.
No, director of Hellbound Hellraiser 2, Tony Randall.
All right. Well, this, like you said, we've not heard of, and I have a feeling this will be one we're watching on YouTube.
It is available with a Prime Video subscription.
Oh, all right. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I think I've seen this, pop up on Amazon Prime and thought about watching it and been like, nah, maybe not.
Yeah.
And you're like, I only have one life to live.
I think a lot of your suggestions are similar to our suggestions on there, Elliot.
Yeah.
for genre stuff. And both this show and Action Shelf have destroyed my algorithm on there. So I only get, I almost exclusively get
recommended
schlock.
to me all the time that I'm like, why would I ever? And then I realize because I am known as watching shit ass horror.
I will say I have no expectations going into next week because I basically know almost nothing about this movie.
Same here.
It's a vampire
the little
thing,
bit that they're showing on IMDb, which I guess is the trailer, looks not promising.
No, and I think we did talk about this. The plot description is just a one-sentence thing that sounds exactly like the plot of Salem's Lot. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, two people in a small town team up to stop the vampires that have overrun it. Great, sure, yeah, that's work.
Sign me up,
well,
says John Campbell.
I mean, we have to watch it.
We do. It's homework.
We've talked about we're in a little bit of a rut here before we get into some actual prestige content. So,
how far are we from Coppola?
We are. It is next week, and then we're at Coppola. Yeah. Then
watch my opinion change. Just again, grading on the curve. It'll be like this is a masterpiece compared to what we've been watching.
This is the greatest movie ever.
It's
Citizen Kane can suck it.
Also, if anyone, since you guys have to watch all of them,
thank you.
They do, because Brendan mentioned a Blu-ray as a joke earlier, and I was like, oh, maybe there is a Blu-ray release. There is.
Of course.
You went and looked.
And there is a 4-disc special edition box set for the 20th anniversary that has like a bunch of behind the scenes and cast interviews.
No.
It is $66.
That was gonna
make enough money.
That was gonna be the thing. I'm going like maybe for the sake of the show, but not at that price.
No,
but also I'm
not
not surprised because Full Moon Entertainment has never missed an opportunity to make some cash off of the things of these movies.
I will not waste my money on a Subspecies box set.
Yeah, I would be curious
Especially
to know.
with the 5th one coming out. I'm not going to buy another movie.
Well, is it going to be
wait
like
for the 5-movie box set?
Maybe they'll release one like when they released the James Bond movie, the box set, and they left an open slot for you to put in the most recent one.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so there you go. You could slot in No Time to Die, and then you've got your, So anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for Subspecies. Elliott, thank you for coming on, but I guess not thank you for introducing us to the franchise.
It's a mixed bag.
You're a mixed bag, and I have to imagine it's only gonna get weirder from here because that's the way these franchises go. So we'll continue to track the Subspecies as they go along. Oh, boy.
And I will see you guys either for Interview with a Vampire or for The Mummy. The Mummy for sure.
The Mummy for sure, and you might be doing Interview with the Vampire with us. Come to that, because
both of which, I mean, again, lucky you. Join us for the good ones.
Hey, I was here for Return to Salem's Lot and Subspecies 1.
It is true. It is true.
And you were here for Robert Englund, Phantom of the Opera, which is
I still think that one's pretty good.
I like that one too, but it definitely
was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun.
So yes, join us next week for Children of the Night, but that is going to do it for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
And just a quick note to the actress who played Michelle. I am in Portland. I am single. I am self-employed. Look me up.